Welcome to Warcraft Reloaded, a podcast brought to you by Mash Those Buttons, covering World of Warcraft Classic and its community. I am Bobby, also known as Blazzinbob, and today we're joined by Mel, aka Melarina. How you doing?
Hi, I'm great.
Good to hear, good to hear. We're also joined once again by ClassicGho, aka Go. How you doing, sir? Got your hair cut.
Yeah.
Holy
Audio
shit.
listeners have to stop by the YouTube and check it out. Yeah.
Good plug. I like
Looking
that.
good, looking good.
But yeah, dude, I'm doing great. You saved me about 15 minutes ago. I was about to get into a 5-hour gold farming session, and I wasn't looking forward to it. I mean, I was, but I'm memeing that you got
We
me
really
out
had
of
to twist your arm to get you to drop
Yeah.
that, huh?
Like, oh, okay. I'm
I could have
coming.
made about 75 gold according to this this guide video. So I'm missing
Oh,
out on
gosh.
75 gold. You owe me, but you already paid me 15 actually, so
True.
I guess we're even now. Yeah.
True.
But thanks for having me back, bro.
Yeah, thank you for coming. And first time on the show, we have Shobek. How you doing?
What's up, dude? It's going well. Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. Bunkai.
Bunkai.
Yeah, I can't do it. I try. Bunkai.
You'll get it.
Bunkai. Oh, something like
There
that.
it is. There it is.
I got that down, I think.
The harder you try, the worse it gets.
I think that
They're
was
just,
pretty
like,
good
going
grunts.
downhill
Okay,
here, you
okay.
know?
Well, one thing I can do is the Krillin scared noise.
There, you got that down. Yo, everyone's got that like one thing. You got that. Yo, you got that thing down.
All right. Perfect. All right. So I like to start the show off by thanking our tank patrons at Thick Lizzy, Croxford, Braxton, and Turtle Whale. I'd like to mention we stream the show live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Blazzinbob, BLAZZINBOB. We have a newish Discord server after mine got hacked back during BlizzCon or right before, but the new one is warcraftreloaded.com/Discord. We want to let you guys know on March 1st, the podcast will be changing YouTube channels. We will be moving off of the Match Those Buttons channel to an actual Warcraft Reloaded channel. So you guys need to go to youtube.com/@Warcraft Reloaded and follow that prior to March 1st. I'll put a link in the description, but definitely go there. There's a few things on there. It was when I tried to start a clips channel and then found out I suck at making clips. So there's old clips there, but that's where the new home will be. So make sure to follow that. With phase 2 coming up, we implore you to use our link in the description to get rested XP, or you can use code RELOADED. And I think that's it for that. We're going to start off the show with a little getting to know Shobek. We're going to find out a little bit of background about him for the people that don't know him that are listening, but I'm sure most of you do. And then we're going to do a couple Discord questions, along with one voicemail that a listener sent in. If you want to send in a voicemail, it's 816-866-1066 or speakpipe.com/Warcraft Reloaded. Then we're going to just kind of talk about what we've been doing this week. Then we'll hit the news, and we'll end out the show with a little discussion on what classes we think will be improving the most going into phase 2, and that'll be the show. So with that said, let's get to know Shobek a bit. So where should I start? When did you actually start playing? First off, let everybody know what you do. You're a streamer, but tell them like your specific, like your niche, because it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I just do world PvP or PvP mostly, and I just like RP. It's kind of fun. I don't know, like when I do it, I just play the game. How I like to play the game, but I think people would capsule it as like an RP PvPer, where I pretend to be a character in Azeroth, and I do like my whole like bunkai and everything like that. I'm like a samurai in Azeroth, I guess, if you'd want to define it. But to me, I'm just playing the game. I don't know. I just play the game.
It's just how you would play, even if you were streaming. You'd be talking to yourself.
I've always been like super vocal when whenever I play the game like solo, and that's kind of like originally what was giving me the idea that I wanted to be a streamer, because I naturally just talk by myself. Like I usually say the saying like I am myself's own best friend. Because even when I'm like around the house or whatnot, I'm always just like, I don't know, just I guess self-talking. And whenever I game, I do the same thing.
That is funny, because that's the very first guest we ever had on the show back at episode 6 was Sal Dally, and he said his first rule of streaming is just you like any thought that comes in his head, he just talks it. He just basically thinks out loud. And I was like, that's a really good tip.
Oh, that's literally me on my morning walks. I'm like thinking out loud. If I'm in the kitchen, if I'm around the house, I'm always thinking out loud. Outside, it looks a little reckless. I'll be like out in public.
Costco. Did you ever get the weird looks from the old ladies at Costco?
I mean, I'm not looking at the old ladies at Costco, but yeah, they probably looking at me.
I do something even more weird at like places like Costco. I'll just dance. If I got a good song on and I'm walking through, I'll just start dancing and people look at me weird as hell. Yeah, but I don't care.
I learned very early on.
Mel just walks off real quick.
When we go to the grocery store, we have to go opposite directions because I'm not going to be seen with him when he's doing things like that.
I got some moves.
Sure. You keep telling yourself that.
Oh man, that's great. All right, so have you been playing Classic this entire time since it came back?
Yeah, I've been playing SOD pretty much religiously. I've leveled 13, level 25 characters, re-rolling for hairstyles.
But I mean Classic though, back in 2019. Did you come back for that, or did you come back later?
Yeah, I played a little bit. I just had like some unfortunate events that just maybe like not want to play, but I was very like sporadic when it came to playing 2019. But 2019 WoW was like not in a lot of ways, in my opinion, like a good version or expression of it. All my friends and everyone probably remembers this. Like you couldn't even play your character for the most part if you were like raid logging and like saving buffs.
Oh god, yeah, it was
2019 wasn't. Yeah, 2019 wasn't really the best experience, but it did have everyone. But right now, there's like so many people playing vanilla WoW. It's like there's this post. I don't know if it's real or not, but it was showing that there's more WoW players now than there was in OG vanilla. So I'm loving it right now.
Well, yeah, it's
for sure.
Yeah, SOD specifically is huge right now. Wrath is kind of slowly dying because of SOD, probably, or maybe just people tired of Wrath. It could be that too, not just
the
SOD.
Trilogies. Yeah, I think the trilogy is just coming to an end. I think the best is the trilogy, but if I'll be honest, I think the best is vanilla WoW, and I think TBC I like. Just don't put flying mounts in it. I think it'd be an amazing expansion, but Wrath, I think it's too far off. But the arc and like lore in Wrath is definitely, I think, everyone's personal favorite.
What's crazy is I thought forever, and even through the first half of Wrath, I still thought this. I thought Wrath was my number one, vanilla was my number 2, and TBC was like number 3. But I've realized that really Classic, like vanilla, is my favorite, like by far now. So it's
I think
a little weird.
We all felt Wrath was probably the best because we got in maybe vanilla and TBC. And so now you started to like reap the benefits of like committing to the game, getting good at the game, getting into arena. It's no longer your first season. Now you're hitting like 2K. At that same point too, esports was like at an all-time high with WoW. And so like there was just this atmosphere and like energy around arena that like really galvanized players to go outside Durotar and duel for hours and have like niche communities. And it was so different back then. And on top of that, the skill level was a lot more like deeper, like ethereal or esoteric knowledge. And not everyone was just super good and YouTube guides. So it's just a different world. And even the specs too. Current Wrath is 100% different than OG Wrath. when you look at all the specs in weak auras and stuff like that. It's just so different.
Yeah, lots of cheating in Wrath PvP at the moment too. I don't know if they fixed it, but it was pretty rampant. Well, so when did you start playing before Classic? Like, did you play any of the expansions?
I played day one. I played everything. I grew up playing WoW. I played WoW since I was 9 years old.
Wow.
And even after when vanilla stopped and like it went to TBC, my friend Nick, he was the oldest one in the group, and he made us private servers. And so at a young age, I learned about private servers, and I literally went to vanilla servers after TBC, or when TBC came out. So like, I wanted to go back into Molten Core and Blackwing Lair because I was so young. Like, no one really cleared that stuff back in the day, especially if you're on like a low pop server. You know, all of those dungeons were like super mystical. And so I've been playing vanilla literally all throughout my entire life. Like, I would always play private servers over retail. I would definitely like dabble in like Wrath and Kata, Mob, Legion, Warlords, but it was always like beginning or ending of an expansion and never all the way through. And in that time space, I was always just on a vanilla server.
Gotcha. Yeah, we actually did do all the stuff. We did. Well, we only got 4 bosses down in Nax back in 2005 or 6 or whatever it was at the time. But we beat everything else prior to that, and it was like a job, like 40-50 hours a week raiding Prague just to like make that happen. It was.
So on our server, there was only 2 guilds, 1 guild on each faction, Alliance and Horde, that even were able to step in to Nax Remus. And they were only able to kill like the first 2 bosses of the Spiderwing. And it was all about like the guild bragging rights and like who could get farther in Nax. And it was funny. So like I grew up with the dungeons being this like super mystical thing, and only the best players can like go in and acquire the gear. And then they sit outside in Ogre Mar, and you just see these like few players with tier. Oh my God. I think that's what really like kicked off the whole RP thing for me. It was just, I just fell in love with like seeing these characters, and they were just such above level than I was because I was so young that it was just so cool to see. So, yeah, my server, no one went into it. It was very rare.
Yeah, it was pretty rare on ours even. I mean, there was like 2 guilds on one faction, 3 on the other, and then like in Nax, like we just had people keep leaving, and there was no one to like bring in because the other guild was a little bit better than us, or at least a little bit better at recruiting. So
yeah, it's crazy. That type of game model will not work in today's world, though. It's so wild. I have no idea how it even was able to be a success back then. I guess just life was different. But it's crazy that like that type of model would not even work in today's world.
Nope.
Like not being able to clear the content and people.
Yeah, people would be. I mean, look at Calrus, right? People were doing the strats wrong, and they already like complain and they like get it changed. They're like not. It's like second lockout or like second week, and they still don't even understand the fight.
This is ridiculous.
And they're just screaming at Agran on Twitter, change it, Agran. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yep.
It kind of blew my mind how many people couldn't get through it. It was a little crazy, but whatever. Well, okay, so what made you start streaming, and then like how did it blow up? Because you blew up like fast.
Yeah, when I was super young, I learned what Xfire was, and I thought it was the coolest thing to watch people game. Yeah, Xfire, then like Justin TV. Yeah, it was like super, super old school. And then that was like the dawn of it, right? And just like watching people play the game, that's all it really was back then. And then it was up until it was something that I've always wanted to do, but I never had the money to like have a setup to stream, nor did I ever really take the time to learn how to do it or get a job or anything like that. So it was always this kind of like dream that's been put on the back burner. And then I just remember in like Mop, just watching Soda and just seeing him have these like experiences, and then also being able to, create a living from it. It really kind of like solidified the idea that like, hey, wait a second, I've always wanted to do this, but he was the one that was like yo, this path is like actually doable. You know, he was the guy that ran the 1 minute mile or whatever, which one it was. And once I saw that, I was like, all right, cool. It's time to fucking do this. It's time to see if we can make it happen. Then I streamed for about 8 years. And then it's only up until 7 months ago, really, that all the RP content on YouTube really kind of like connected with everyone. Which, by the way, I've been posting for 4 years. I mean, like,
Isn't that
like when I tell
crazy?
you, yeah. So it's
Just takes a couple things to just like get you on everybody's radar. You know what I mean?
Well, I think if I really boil it down, I think there's just a lot of things that like came together. I think the WoW population was just very fixated on like min-maxing and gaming and being the best. And then also this whole, you know, we haven't seen the whole trilogy through again. People wanted to see in 2019, it's all about parsing. No one cared about anything else. Then it was like, oh, TBC is going to be the best. That's going to be it. And no one really cared about RP. And then next thing you know, it was, oh, no, it's not TBC, man. TBC isn't it. It's all about Wrath. Wrath's going to save it. Wrath's going to be the biggest expansion. And then Wrath came around. What happened? Not the biggest expansion. It's not what we thought it was. And I think it took that alongside with like YouTube growing as like a platform for older viewers, and then YouTube Shorts being integrated, and also us boomers and older. I mean, you know, I'm 30. You're like all of us actually watching shorts. I mean, like to get an older person to watch a TikTok is a very hard thing to do, right? It's a very hard thing to do, but all of those things matured and like everything came together. We went through the trilogy. We got tired of min-maxing. And then what ended up happening? Well, I want to fall in love with the game as I once did before. And at that point, when I did my RP content, that is what we're all at now. Like, you know, history repeats itself. And I think everyone is getting to that point where we just want to play an RPG game and just kind of like lose ourselves in the RPG, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's why everything changed. And that's why I never hit 4 years ago. It's just because the people, they're not there yet. There's not there yet mentally.
That's awesome. It's so crazy that I didn't even know that you had been posting those clips for like 4 years. Like I thought
I've been doing the TikToks back in like 2019, 2020. Like I've been, I've been doing it, bro.
Just ahead of your time.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, definitely ahead. But you know, sometimes it sucks to be a little too ahead. But everything happens in beautiful timing, and yeah, it's been amazing. It's been truly like life changing, and I'm so grateful to everyone that messaged me in game, that bows at me in game, that sends me mail, comes in my stream, and everything. It's been truly like a transcendental experience, man. Let me tell you.
That's awesome.
Nice. So, just to end it out, Horde or Alliance?
I definitely like. I think Shobek at its core is Night Elf. But I'm just like, there's just so many like characters to my own persona. Like my younger self loves Undead Rogue, that's Mutilate. Like that's literally my middle school and high school days that I think nothing will ever be able to take away from me. And then Night Elf is me and my brother playing when we were little kids, playing vanilla together, being matching names, matching characters, with just different hair colors. Like that was us. So I will say, like, obviously Alliance now, but man, I love both sides. I really do.
Do you think they'll ever give us the Mutilate animation in vanilla?
I messaged Adham about it.
I did too. I did too.
I personally messaged him. He knows that I've brought it up multiple times, and I hope so. He said that there's some legwork. Now there is some hope. I haven't messaged him this, but I learned through being a degenerate and also my chat being insanely degenerate with RP, Furbogs actually have a Mutilate attack. It's like their third auto attack swing with both of their arms, which may make it easier for them to swap the animation onto the other models and like maybe do some minor edits instead of like a deep overhaul. But again, I think Blizzard right now is really just focusing on getting the more important things to hit, like the new STV event, the next phase, than to fixing an animation. But
I don't know, man. It's pretty important to me. It looks weird as fuck.
I'm on the side that that stuff matters way more because
it does.
That is like the feeling that you get when playing a character. And Mutilate is like such a staple. I mean, go look at Lava Lash. Lava Lash is atrocious. I mean, some of the animations that they made in SOD, like they need a hard rework and they need it stat. Like it is not okay.
Listen,
It's like
just the
some
fact that I don't bend down when I'm picking something up is the weirdest thing to me.
Yeah,
Like-
it's like an alpha almost. The animations feel like they're an alpha, and it's very unacceptable since we waited an entire SOM and like a year for this. But hey, look, listen, I'm not a doomer. I think Saw's incredible, and I think what they're doing is amazing, and I'm so unbelievably happy to even have this chance. I mean, holy crap! Like being able to play Vanilla WoW Plus is just honestly what I've been wanting since day one, since we left the TBC. So I can't ask for anything more.
What's crazy?
Super
So
cool.
I don't know. Were you like me? Like, because you were in that same group with us, but you were more talking to Sarth in the row behind me, and like after the announcement, Sod really didn't. It really wasn't like I was like, okay, I don't know what this is, but then
No, it moved so fast.
yeah, we all. It was you, me, Crix, a bunch of people went and played it, and we like snuck in the front of the line saying, we were like media, and we got in and we played, and then like it was like, oh, I get it now, but like I was a little underwhelmed right at the start.
I just think it was a little weird. I don't understand. Look, I don't know the numbers, but maybe it's just WoW doesn't bring in money, but I find that hard to believe. But every other game pretty much had like a hardcore intro, right? Retail got an intro, WoW Rumble got an intro, Hearthstone got an intro. If I remember Hearthstone, I might be wrong about that. But what I can say is a lot of the other games, especially like Diablo, all these other games are getting like hardcore intros before they even like showcase the content. They literally were just like, we know you guys like classic WoW, Warlock's tank, moving on, Overwatch, play the cinematic. And it's like,
Yep.
Okay. But it's like,
Hold
I'm
on.
pretty sure WoW makes way more money than Overwatch. And like Overwatch is literally dead and probably will never come back to life just because of the nature of players and how like they just refuse to go back to things if it's just terrible. So what? Like how do they get it? Like, how does a character get a full cinematic team to like create this like storyline and marketing, but like literally Classic Plus, which is such a thing that has been yearned for over a decade, just literally get a fucking slideshow intro of like what it's called and then some pixels of like a warlock in a robe. And it's like, yeah, this is what we have. And then like, now we have a server that has over 100,000 players on it at like any given time, and they're all paying $15 a month plus. Like what? I'm so confused.
I can tell you in 2 words: WoW store. I mean, it's really like, I'm pretty sure, and this is up for debate, but I'm pretty sure like if you put in all of Classic's more popular than retail. There's more hours played on a daily basis on across Era, SOD, and Wrath. But the problem is retail probably makes 10 times more revenue because of the WoW shop.
Yeah, but the thing is I think SOD could have an item shop and it could make so much more money. Like, why doesn't SOD have a TCG item shop where you can buy all the tabards? Why can't we have an item shop that are like random loot boxes and has like insanely rare chances for you to pull a mount like a Bengal or a Spectral Tiger, similar to like pulling a Sapphire or a Blue Gem in CSGO? Why can't we buy like the thumbs down banner or like Valentine's umbrellas or little cosmetics? Why isn't there new dances in the game for people to be able to buy, to be able to like do some BM thing when people die? Like I just don't think they're putting any brain work, and I feel like they just don't understand how much money they're sleeping when it comes to like vanilla stuff.
But there's so many boomers out there who are like, if you put in a shop, it'll kill the vibe of Classic. And I'm like, you know what? I would rather them continue to make better Classic games and have these people who want to spend money. If you don't want to spend money, it doesn't make you better to spend money.
if you guys played Turtle WoW is a perfect example of how you make a shop like actually applicable to the game without it eroding any sort of like you can create an item shop that supports the game and it doesn't take away. The problem is that all the item shops are taking away like the mounts, like that takes away like, oh, just giving a blatantly, and like, yeah, you can argue, well, Shobek, you just did a loot box. Cool, retract that statement. It doesn't need to be a loot box. You don't need to do that. You don't even need to add mounts in the game. But what you could add in the game is like little toys and cosmetics. That doesn't change anything.
Dances,
right? If I want a different dance or different unique emotes, like, why not?
That would be freaking awesome. And then you could tailor that to your new hairs, like hairstyles, even.
I think hairstyle is a little interesting. I think hairstyle should just be they should add a barbershop with like a 3-month or a month cooldown and like just add the hairs for the people. But I'm not against it. I mean, they have it in Elder Scrolls Online, and like, yeah, you can buy hairstyles. It's not that big of a thing. But I think the underlining point is you can have a game in Vanilla WoW or an item shop in Vanilla WoW that doesn't erode the game whatsoever. They just purposely choose to erode the game in retail because it is just an extra cash grab. But I think if you make things that are like meaningful and purposeful that don't erode the game, you'll probably have an inverse effect of more people even buying it just to enjoy it. Like, who wouldn't love the TCG tabards? Like, who wouldn't love that?
Or just different hair colors, anything to make your character more stand out. I mean, but the other thing is I would always say that you have to have a way for these things to be gotten in game too. You know what I mean? So the sweats can get it.
If they're little trinkets, if they're little like whatever, like as long as they're not huge mounts or like the freaking TBC or Wrath Hearthstone or TBC Hearthstone that was like the summoning gate that was like the most annoying thing in the world when everybody got it. Yeah,
what was it? TBC pre-order. They're like, yeah, let's just make your Hearthstone like a gigantic large portal. Like, yeah, no.
That looks horrible. Yeah, I hate that. Like, and dude, the mount that they added in Wrath while we were at BlizzCon, I just wanted to throw stuff when I got back. You're riding Rag, like a small Ragnaros. And I was just like, who thought this was a good idea?
Yeah, so I don't necessarily know what's going on with their asset teams and like their whole like marketing campaign, but I do think no matter what, there's definitely a way to create, and if that is what it takes to get more resources driven to WoW, so we have like a better product at launch. For example, SOD right now, it feels like an alpha. There's just so many bugs. The bear is still stuck in Dark Shore. The Darnassus Guild Tabard vendor is still bugged since 2019. There's just so many things that are like still just not polished. Mutilate, all the new animations, the ability to not even be able to change the particle density on all the new animations, which are very, very retail-esque and like more so like over flashy and over tuned. It's it's a little alarming, and I'd love to, if it takes an item shop to say to the shareholders, yo, like we can get more money from the game, there's definitely a way for it to fit into the game and not like erode its.
Yeah, you just can't get lazy, and those crazy mounts can turn it bad.
No mounts.
Like,
you don't have to do it. You don't have to do the mounts.
I mean, I'm fine. I'm fine with mounts. I just always feel like if there's a way to get it in game too, you just get the dads that, like the dads that want to play, like, but want to have the cool stuff too. They'll go ahead and pay for the mount. It's okay. We can still get it in game. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm even cool with mounts as long as everything is still able to get in game. And you talked about loot boxes, like, why not have recipes in them? Why not have, it doesn't even have to be something new. It could be, you're getting like a loot box that has stuff from the entire game. Like you get some mana pots, you get,
I don't know about buying. I don't know if I agree with the buying of any sort of like in-game item. If you're going to purchase a loot box, like if we're going to go down the loot box route, you buying a loot box would have different varieties of like emotes. There's gonna be like more generic emo dances or whatnot like that, and then you have like the rare chance of pulling like a Tabard of Arcane, the same way where you go to the black market auction house and you buy an unpurchased box and you open it up and hoping for the ZG Tiger. It's the same thing like that, but it's with like IRL gold, which still like holds its merit because again you have to get insanely lucky. But again, there's also a massive drawback and like community that doesn't like that. And I'm well aware of like the double edges, but watching CS and everything, I think there's more harm probably to loot boxes. So probably would just retract that just
because of gambling.
Hashtag gambling. But
I
I
agree
just think
though
like an item shop with emotes and dances is totally chill.
Well, then there's even
nothing that impacts the game. Like nothing that impacts the game, just stuff that is fun to add to the game, right? Like mana pots and stuff like that. I feel like you're gonna inflate the market and
or like the flaming footprints. You know, like back in the day, that was something you got from the actual card game that Blizzard didn't run it. It was somebody, I forget who ran it, but the card game would have cards. That's where you would get the spectral tiger. But the other cards had a bunch of other stuff. One of them was the green flame footprints. And you got them when you bought the deluxe TBC, but it was a toy that you could use forever. Whereas in the card game one, I got those and it was 200 uses. So it ran out, you know, like, so you didn't use it all the time on cooldown. You used it for when you wanted to like be like, hey, check this out. You know, this is something cool. But yeah, I kind of like that.
You know, I would love some emote dances for World PvP. You smash somebody and then just dance on top of their corpse. Like,
dude, that's what I'm saying.
I just want the tactical crouch, man. A real tactical crouch. A good old teabag.
Shobek's just trying to find a way to like somehow get in this death dance that he wants in PvP.
I started playing Fortnite at its like whole like start, and I saw the beauty and like the emotes and everything like that, and it opens up such a colorful way to be BM, and then also adds like such a depth to like just social. You know, whenever everyone is like circling around and dancing, it's like always the same dances, right? But imagine if there were like different things. I think it just would open up the world a little bit more, and people could kind of like have their own little style, like that's their dance that they always do, and stuff like that to make them feel a little bit more individual.
Well, I mean, they had
a little bit
on the box. I think it was it was either Wrath of the Lich King or TBC. On the box, it said Dance Studio coming, and it never came. So, yeah.
I don't know what that is.
It was supposed to be different dances, I'm pretty sure. But, yeah, I mean, even the jokes, like if you do /silly and your tune actually tells a joke, like those could be fun too. But yeah, okay.
I mean, there could be so many new things, right? Like you could almost like a cogwheel that you'd be able to pick, or just macro, like an individual joke that you could repeat over and over again. It could be like your specific thing. It's just another layer for like character immersion. I think character immersion is just super undermined, and I just don't think anyone's really looking at it. But when you look at my YouTube channel, obviously there's a clear interest in RP, and I am just scratching the surface by like all means. And I think we're definitely going back in history with or time and just repeating that RP is definitely coming back. And it's those little things that I think are really going to go the mile for people and make them like love. For example, mutilate. If that animation was literally fixed, the amount of rogues that would just be loving to play mutilate would just be skyrocketed, and they would probably like ignore everything else and wouldn't even care that they're getting killed by an auto pet hunter or star surged to death from 42 yards of range away from a druids just because they have the damn animation.
Well, Star Surge animation is pretty whack as well. So on the other side of the battle, it feels good damage wise.
Rogues. I don't know if we need more rogues in the world, though. Let's be real. Like, I think we're fine with the number of rogues we have. We don't need to entice more people to come.
We don't need more.
Yeah, come on.
We do need more balanced druids, though.
We need more rogues with the epic crossbow, because this guy got that yesterday. So.
Hell yeah. You play mutilate with it?
No. But it's pretty good for those quick shot and the stun. Although the stun I don't think does damage. Quick shot.
No, it does. It does actually.
Oh, it does.
You can do 2. If you have 5 common points, you can do 200, and then with quick draw, you can also do like 250 plus 300 on Clothy. With like mutilate, if you run double chip and you have quick draw, it's insane. It's really crazy.
Yeah, I'm supposed to do some Wars on Gulch tonight, so I'm looking forward to pulling out the crossbow.
Oh yeah, you're gonna love it.
And just dropping it out on hunters is always fun. And then my hunter dropping the sword on warriors is always fun too.
Hunters.
I have a lot of luck.
Where'd you come up with the name Shobek?
Yeah.
So originally when I was getting into streaming, again, it was like around MOP when Soda Poppin' like really kind of inspired me. I went by the name Grasp, and I was like a little shitter. I was just like that kid outside Durotar, and all I would do is like duel and talk smack and whatnot. And so I wanted to kind of start by streaming with like a clean slate and just like swipe it all out and just restart again, because I tended to play the game solo, and I just like kind of retracted and was just like more toxic towards other players. And I was like, nah, I want to do the exact opposite. I want to like be the player of the people where like everyone's super excited that he's like online and like wants to play with. So from there, I literally just played with prefixes and suffixes. And then I think I was doing like Stun Tech or some like edgy arena name. And then I was listening to Show Tech, which is an EDM artist. And I don't necessarily remember like how it ended up happening, but I just remember playing with prefixes and suffixes of that. And then I typed in SHOBEK, I pressed enter, and I never looked back. Like once I looked at it and I typed it out, I just said yes, enter, name changed, boom, done.
Awesome.
Nice.
And then I started streaming.
Love it.
All right. Well, I think let's move on to the comment of the week. And Go, can I get you to read this in your angriest voice? Because I know you feel this, and I know you like this idea, because I do.
Hey, it's a good one. I've been doing
my gosh,
a
I
lot
love
of it this week. This is the fishing one, yeah?
Yep. This is
All right, let me enlarge it and enhance
Make sure you comment on next week's YouTube video so you could have the comment of the week.
All right, I'm going to butcher this, but Xanatori 2330 said fishing in the same fishing spot as someone else should PvP flag them even if you're the same faction. It's literally always more efficient for them to move past you to the next fishing spot. It drags both of you down to compete for the same fishing hole. They're just being mindlessly aggressive, so you should be able to respond with aggression in kind.
I love it.
I love it.
I love that.
It's like, yes, that. And if somebody like comes and starts mining a mine that you've already started mining, right? Like you should be able to kill them. I feel like.
Or you should be able to attack them. Now, if they come up and start fishing in yours, I don't think it should flag you because, well, then you're just going to get beat up all the time if you're not good at PvP, which could be kind of fun in certain circumstances. But if somebody puts their line in my hole, like I should be able to smack them if I want to.
It really hasn't bothered me though.
That's a really interesting concept though. I think it'd have to be like a unique flag though, right? Because then people would just be able to like group up, throw the bobber, flag, boom, and then like and then right. So then you're like, oh shit, force flagged, and then now like you're getting duked out.
Yeah, all these rogues go flag and vanish. They go flag somebody, vanish, and come murder them.
Well, I mean, it would have to be like whoever got their line in first wouldn't get flagged, but whoever put their line in second would.
Yeah, but then again, you can have like then you bait the person and then they get killed and then now you
Okay, I was more thinking it would just be you able to, like a mono 1v1 type of deal, like they could kind of.
That's why it would need to be like a separate flag. It would be like a unique flag.
Like a dickhead flag. It's like you're an asshole.
Yeah. But it's a very interesting concept. I've never thought about that, and that I think would just open up such a dynamic world for gathering herbs and mining and fishing. Like, damn, that's pretty cool.
Right.
To figure out a system that would make that work.
It would also It would also turn around on the other way. Like, there'd be really good PvPers having a blast, just going up, dropping their lion in and be like, go ahead, attack me. And then they just wipe the floor with you, and you're like, well, shit, now I have to walk too. And they're going to get the next fishing spot.
Well, I think if that actually is the case, then I think what would happen is the person would never actually throw the bobber in, and they would always just like go to the next one without ever throwing the bobber to force flag. It probably would be almost impossible to really do unless they change the entire system on how people and bobbers interact or something like that.
Right.
It's a very hard thing. I don't know how the system would work for them to be able to fix it.
Definitely never going to happen.
It sounds great, though. It sounds great.
Super cool.
Somehow we need to punish the fishers that fish somebody else's pond. Get out of here.
I mean, just today, there was just like a mutual agreement.
Just because you're part of the problem doesn't make it right.
It depends on the player. That's all I'm saying. Some people, like, you don't even have to whisper them or nothing. Like, they see you fishing, they move on to the next one. Sometimes they'll stop and they'll fish in your same pool, and it's like, all right, you can have this one. I'll go look for a different pool. But I would like to kill the horde that are fishing in my same spot sometimes. But for the most part, it's been chill.
All right.
Yep. And boy, it'd be a real nice way to be able to kill fishing bots. Oh boy.
Just make every coastline the same as like the Gorobashi Arena, where you're just automatically flagged and available for all sorts of PvP.
Hardcore fishing.
Yeah.
It'd be great.
All the mountainsides with the mining nodes, it's all open PvP.
All right, so the next couple things we have is Discord questions. I'm going to read the question, and then I'm going to play a voicemail that shows or that kind of works with the question. It's an idea, but we talked about this, last episode and the episode before about PvP. But I'll go ahead and read it. So I was thinking about leaving a voicemail, but wanted to ask a podcast question in Discord instead. Today, a WoW dev, not 100% sure on her title, on X linked. This was Nora, linked a Reddit post and referenced an upcoming change to Battlegrounds in P2 of SOD. Realistically, what change do you think she is referencing? Also, please take a longer victory lap. Your 2-8 prediction, you nailed it. Yes, I did. No, and I don't think anybody else predicted it. It's all me, baby. So thank you. But
her title is lead software engineer.
Yep, and that was from Dear Yo on Discord. Okay, so I don't know, Shobek, do you have any ideas on this? Like, we've went over like all the changes that they did in TBC, where if you queued with a group of 6 or more, it would put you in a pre-made group. So people just stopped pre-mating, and then they would queue 2 groups of 5 for Warsong Gulch at the same time, or queue 3 groups of 5 for Arathi Basin at the same time. They tried a bunch of different things to stop this from happening, but there's a pretty good idea in this voicemail. I just wanted to see if you had anything that you could think of for the whole controversy.
So I grew up playing Halo. I grew up on those days of like finding a squad and like being able to just absolutely dominate, and then the feeling of having that really good team and dominating. I've also the start of Overwatch, and then watching them make the changes with Overwatch, not allowing you to full 5 stack. I've also played Valorant and also watched the same thing happen. And every single time in gaming history, whenever you tinker with the matchmaking, even in Call of Duty Warzone, when you do skill-based matchmaking, whenever you tinker with that, it has catastrophic events, and it never, ever, ever feels good, and it'll never be a good change. I am a firm believer that it needs to be an open queue. You should never punish people for wanting to play with their friends. You should never punish people for wanting to group up and be social in the game. And right now, I think it's a little bit more of an exacerbated moment because it's phase 1 and there's nothing else to do other than get the Warsong Gulch rep. Everyone is hyper focused on it. So yeah, you're running into more pre-mades than usual. And like, I get that, but you should never force people to not be social and like play these things, because it's just going to make it where you just go in Discord and you're just going to be queuing, or they're going to no longer be able to play with their friends and like now have the solo queue. And then solo queue is going to have a ton of repercussions and how that format's going to work. Are we going to be waiting longer queues? And it's like all of this for like a solo player. And I just, for me, I feel like it's always best to leave it open because players are going to figure out a way. And on top of that, we also live in a world of honor per hour and like XP per hour and efficiency. And I think like in this world, people want to group up and get the Warsong Gulch done faster and just be done with it, because that's what everyone is focused on. And that's why they want to group up. And if you take that away and it's like pre-made versus pre-made, no one's going to want to do that. And then you're going to group up on like a full pug versus pug. And then it's going to come down to like whoever gets like a healer or not is going to like win the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm such a firm believer based on how players have changed, based on every single game I've played when they ever tinker with matchmaking and not just making it authentic. It just so backfires. Even Overwatch, they just announced that you can now full queue. So why is Overwatch reverting to the old way of just opening it up? And now we're trying to go down a path potentially because people are complaining for, by the way, SOD has only been out for less than 2 months. And people are putting so much pressure on Blizzard and they're not thinking the long game. How is this going to affect AB? How is this going to affect Alterac Valley? How is this going to affect just BG playing in general? And like alt grinding, alt ranking to 14. How is this all going to play effect? Are we just putting a Band-Aid on these people's bruises and cut knees because they played for a weekend and they got pub stomped and they don't want to talk to anyone and they're in full greens? Like, you gotta like, hello? Yep. There's just no shot, man.
Preach.
So I'm so against it. And like, I talked about it with my friends and like, what are possible solutions? The only thing that came to my mind that we discussed about, and he brought up the idea, is force you to group up in a minimum group of 5. No, there is no longer solo queue in Warsong Gulch. You can no longer queue. So the only way you can even queue is in a group of 5 and make it that Warsong Gulch or any BG is a group queue, and that you're forced to interact with players and you're forced to group up. So when you do play, it's forced to be a coordinated BG experience. Now, obviously, there's repercussions to that. And guess what? There's repercussions to every single side. There is no solution that's not going to leave someone burned. And that's just like the way that it is. And there's no right answer. But I believe that the right answer is leave it be and leave it open and not do any tinkering with like pubs. It's just like, it hurts people that are trying to do honor per hour, rep per hour. It hurts people trying to solo queue or just wanting to get like pub stomp or anything like that. Just log on with the boys and like have that presence. It's just, it gets so muddy in it, man. It gets so muddy.
Yeah. So, and also like, there's so many people that don't understand you're the problem. And let me explain that. So yesterday we just threw together a pug. Like, it was Jordy needed to get his rank sergeant, and he just threw together a pug. We didn't even have 3 priests. Like, we had 2 priests and like 1 druid boomkin off heal. We went against more pre-mades than pugs. We lost 1 game. Guys, the reason that your having such bad luck in your pug verse pre-made is because you have 3 to 4 people that give up before they leave the gate. So it's going to be impossible for you to win. But if you go try some of these pre-mades, lots of them aren't even in they're not in Discord. They're not communicating. They made a raid out of trade chat. So guys, we stopped pre-mades just because we took the time to get into Discord and to talk and to call targets. So,
and like,
yeah,
to jump off that, like I understand that there are people that don't have that. I understand that people don't want to do that. I just feel like that's okay. It just needs to be understood that like you're going to lose, and that's also fine. Like the game isn't supposed to be everything is dandy for everyone, and there's going to be moments where it's going to be harder and not like there's going to be things in this game that you have to do that aren't enjoyable. I'm now doing essentially a second Warsong Gulch rep grind. I've done more Warsong Gulch than like you can even imagine, and I run into people that are pre-mades that are just straight pure griefing and like wanting to hold the flag until like an indefinite time. I mean, I've been through the ringer too, and I'm not enjoying it. But the thing is like that's what makes the game great. Like there's gonna just be some things that are gonna suck, but it's one of those like bittersweet things. And the problem is if you change something like that, it's not just about, oh, we're changing the matchmaking. There's like you shift one piece to the puzzle, there are 10-15 other puzzle pieces that move that you have no idea what ends up happening. That's why MMOs fail. That's why games are so hard to develop, because not only do you have to create a super good design, but you also have to see how that fits in the game and like the current gaming sphere and like what type of gamers are even playing the game. And I'm gonna keep it $150 right now. The gamers are the worst it's ever been. Worst it's ever been. There's no world where you're just jumping in and you're loving it. These guys got YouTube, they got guides, they have FOMO, they have the fear of missing out, they have laziness, they have fucking entitlement, shiny syndrome, item shop brain. It's fucking insane. And so it's like, it's just, vanilla WoW is a very delicate thing. And something like that, and shout out to Agran, he did say like, nah, you need to group up for people if you want to do like BG. It's not as simple as like, yo, save these few people from solo queuing. And I will say this is the last thing. Sorry for the rant. It's just very important.
Oh, you're fine.
This is the biggest thing. If you give a person an inch, they're always going to take a mile. And that's how it is in the game. You give them 1 inch, they'll go a mile with it. They'll figure out how to min-max the shit out of it and just suck it absolutely dry. And then secondly, and this is the more important thing, is super important. If you let a player play solo, they will play solo. That is not an MMO.
Yep.
There are aspects
Hallelujah.
in MMO that you do solo, but you do not give the player these options to play solo, because what goes down? What's next?
Retail.
LFR. What's next? Retail. Exactly. That is literally it. And so you can't give the player the inch. They're going to run a mile and then they're going to ask for more. And if you're already bending the bar, might as well just break the fucking door down, break the fucking bar, flood the gates, and just make this shit retail and throw in fucking mount shop. And let's do some transmog. Shout out. Like, let's do some transmog contests and mount offs, because like at this point, like you got to put the foot down and you has to be firm, and these people need to deal with it. And if it's not your game, that's fine. Don't play the game. We're not struggling. Crusader Strike has over 100,000 players. For the love of fucking God, all of y'all quit the fucking game so there's one layer and the server's way better without you. Like, we will not miss you. The game does not need you. We do not need to bend for you. The game needs to be a good game. Let the game be a good game. And then everything works out great.
You just made me think of something. Okay, so I was thinking about something because I was going to add something to your rant, but you could even, if going back to the shop thing, you could even throw in things like my swords mount on my my back. No matter what they have.
No.
Or they mount both to this side. No, it'd be because they're so cool.
It makes it special. It makes it special.
Okay.
If everyone could transmog, or if everyone,
I don't want transmog. I just want
what I'm saying
different
is
locations for the swords.
If you can change the sword on your back, then what's Thunder Fury then? Thunder Fury isn't Thunder Fury if every sword goes on the back. True. The thing is there needs to be, things need to be special. Things need to be hard. Things need to be rare. Things need to be unique. If you erode that and everyone has it, then everyone's the protagonist. People have to earn to be the protagonist. You have to earn to get Thunder Fury and be fucking lucky. Or, you know what I'm saying? So I think like that, I'm personally against. Things being unique is very, very special. And that's what makes WoW, Vanilla WoW in particular, so sought after, like all of the gear, right? Two bosses off of a 40-man raid, 2 drops of loot off a boss on a 40-man raid, and the loot table on some of these things are so unforgiving. When are you going to see the next Nelf tier? When are you going to see the next DFT? You might not even see a DFT in the Blackwing layer phase. Like, these items are so high ticket and so valuable. Getting 2 bindings and 30,000 gold to fucking forge a sword that sheaths on your back, like that is what makes things unique and special. Right. And I think keeping that is like super on point.
I'd like at least more swords going on your back. I love the swords that go on your back so much. Like, I just love them.
I'm down for more of them.
I know you like it too.
Hard. Just make them really hard to get, and I'm super about it, like 100%. But making being able to like sheath, not too crazy. But I would like a unique dagger sheath on like maybe something super new, and it sheaths on the back of your belt, kind of like how some rogues will have like that horizontal dagger.
Yep.
That's like sheath behind that they can like grab. That'd be like a really cool sheath.
Or even like your gun going on the front of you like a pirate would have it. You know, like, I mean, there's all kinds of cool stuff.
All right. Back to the PvP stuff. And I agree with you, Shobek. I think honestly, people don't understand that the min-maxers are going to min-max no matter what. So you can give solo queue and it's still going to be a shit show for actual solo queue players. Like, people are going to figure out how to group into solo queue. They're not going to do pre-mates because pre-mates are going to be harder and their honor is going to go down. And so I think people think of ideas that they think will make it better, and in reality it won't make it better. It'll make it harder for some people to min-max, but it won't make it better for the people who aren't willing to do anything.
You pretty much gave me this one word this one sentence that summarizes it so beautifully, so I'm so happy you brought that up. The people that are complaining about the pre-mades want the same linear progression that the pre-mades are getting, and that is just not acceptable. If you don't want to put in the unbelievable minimal work it takes to make a pre-made, or even to join a pre-made and get in Discord and mute yourself and play it like a solo queue, I mean, for you to expect to have the same outcome, and I see they want an enjoyable experience, and you want to just be able to go home and, you know, log on and go BG and not get, you know, pub stomp for 12 hours. But if that is the only source of joy that you have in the game is solo queuing and PvP, and you're not having it, I think it's time for you to expand your horizon on some other things, or maybe just not play the game, or maybe just put BGs down for a little bit, because right now it's just too hot. Too many people are farming rep, and it's just too congested. At 60, it'll probably be a little bit better, but
there's only one BG right now. So you have to understand that, yeah, obviously there's going to be more pre-mades in that one BG right now. And everybody's already done everything that they can in PvE, right? Like, they're raid logging PvE. So there's a lot of focus on PvP right now and grinding honor and all of that stuff. And that's fine. Yeah. I agree. I think if you want the same result from doing zero effort, I think you're fooling yourself. You can't walk into BFD and by yourself and say, why aren't there 9 other people here for me to play with? Like,
yeah. So someone from my chat said something interesting. They're like, well, on my server, it's hard to find a pre-made at midnight to queue up with. And for that, I simply have an answer of just like, yeah, well, like, tough luck. Like, what do you want? Like, you just want to be able to queue at 12 o'clock at night and have this perfect, intricate AI system that kind of slots you in perfectly, where you don't have to wait anything more than 5 minutes, and you're going to have a perfect comp go up against other perfect comp, and you're going to have this just like beautifully displayed battleground that you're just so fallen in love with. Like, yeah, I would love that too, but that A will just not exist, and B, you're just going to be like, oh damn, I guess I can't queue right now. For example, me right now, I'm not queuing past 5 o'clock. I queue my BGs from like 11 in the morning to 4 to 5 o'clock, because at 5 o'clock, everyone comes home and every single BG is a pre-made. And I don't want to go up against pre-mades because they just take longer and they can turn into like griefs, like hour, 2, 3 hours. So like for me, I'm just changing, I'm adapting, and I'm dealing with the blows. And some days I get more honor than others, and other days I get more honor than those days. And it's a more of like an ebb and flow, and you just kind of going through the motions, and that's how it is. And everyone's journeys is going to be different. If you solo queue like PS Hero, yeah, you're going to have a rough time, but PS Hero did it. Shit, PS Hero solo queued to rank 14 in 2019 vanilla. My guy, you can do it too. So it's just like it just depends on. It's just that.
I mean,
there's nothing else.
He's really good, though. He's really good. Like, he's like again, 3 people in one. You know,
average goals based on the effort that you're going to put in, right? If you're not willing to put in the effort, then don't expect to get the same result as somebody who is willing to put in the effort. And I think that's kind of the moral of the story is just, and I know some people, I don't have as much time to play. Like, I don't have as much time to play as Bob or a lot of other people have to play, but I don't expect to be exalted and different, you know, in Warsong. And I don't play a lot. And when I do, well, I haven't yet, but when I do, I will tonight, apparently.
Yeah.
Well, it's tough, but I know that people don't have the time. But again, I just always just believe we shouldn't bend over backwards for people being able to have the best 1 to 2 BGs before they go to bed and like make the game revolve around that. Yeah, and I also know that I'm speaking from like a privileged place where I play the game for a living and I'm on the game every single day, but I can put myself in those shoes. And I also like just recently, you know, stopped working. So I know how that feels where, you know, you don't have that all that time. And I just think Azeroth is a very precious place. And I just I want WoW to be, I don't want WoW to just be like, oh, it's back. I want WoW to like literally be fucking the game again. I want it to be the game again. And it absolutely can. It has the foundation and it has the team. And it just needs to really just stand on the foundation of just be a good game. Because that's what WoW was back in the day. WoW originally was just a good game. And it's not all of this, oh, but these people want this and that. It's like, well, what actually makes sense from like a bird's eye perspective, and like what fits into the narrative of the game and like what we want in our game. Well, that's my rant.
And I love how, so we play on PvP servers because we actually like it, whereas a lot of people don't actually like it. So like, I loved your thing about I can't say the word, adapting. And like, what I've been doing the last few days, I've been having a blast doing it. Me and another rogue buddy, we go around and we fish Dusk, Swallow Marsh, Tannerus, all these different places to get all these different boxes, right? And most of the time we beat all of the allies that are there, right? But sometimes we run into some good motherfuckers and we get beat. And we either move on to a different spot. Like, I mean, we try a couple times, but the walk back, you know, after like getting, you know, rocked 2 times, it's like, oh, okay, well, I guess this guy owns this. We therefore pivot, and we're like, okay, well, we either need to check to go to a different layer or we need to go to a different spot. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, we got beat. I guess if you got beat all the time, I guess it would feel pretty bad. But like, it doesn't feel bad to get beat by somebody better than you. I don't know.
Yeah, but define beat all the time, right? Like, and the whole, like, I think people are just so micro about it. Like, oh, you lost every single game 3 days in a row. Does that mean that they need to change the game for you because you had a bad week in a game?
If you lost every single game, you might want to look inward, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think it's just like, you know, circling back to what you said, it's just being adaptive. And like, again, it's a game. Things are going to ebb and flow, and sometimes things are not going to go your way. But for example, like my queues have been atrocious. There's been a lot of times where I'm like losing, absolutely, pre-made versus pre-made, even losing against pugs. And it's just one of those things where you just got to like roll with it. And it's, again,
it's
a
okay.
bittersweet once you get, it's just like, it's okay. It's an MMO. It's not supposed to be like a linear Candy Crush game experience. Like there are things that are going to suck in the game, but that's going to like mold you into a better player, mold you into more of a social player, and like force you. Because again, people don't change unless they're like under that breaking point. And until that breaking point ends up happening, they're not going to change. And I feel like right now with the whole matchmaking thing, it's just a cop out where they want the easy way out so they don't have to change. So they don't like, because essentially it's, you're one conversation away from meeting someone in the game that's your next best friend that you're literally like at work on Discord with, and you guys could fucking lose every single BG, but it doesn't matter. It's just you two duking it out against the other ones, and you're just like trying to run the flags and be like, you know, James Bond and just really making it happen. And I feel like they're just doing everything they can to not have those conversations socially in the game and like nurture. And I get it. Sometimes people don't want to do it at all. But again, there's just too many variables at play, and just don't change the game.
Yeah, there's plenty of stuff to do solo. Like, sorry.
Yeah, there's plenty.
Yeah.
Just not group PvP. Don't make group PvP solo. Like, why?
Yeah. And don't make, I don't want Raid Finder. And you guys have seen Sod's doing just fine without Dungeon Finder. So, yeah. And if you guys are talking about on those smaller servers, there's not a ton of super small servers. But honestly, guys, it's early. If you're having trouble finding groups and shit, re-roll now, dude. Like, I'm telling you, like, you do not want to be level 50 with a ton of shit and find out you're on a server that's going to have to merge someplace else. Like, deal with the bad stuff on like huge servers because the good stuff is worth it. So, I don't know. That's just my opinion, but let's see here. Okay.
I mean, the tweet said that the Battleground matchmaking updates were coming though, so there is going to be some sort of
they're
change.
changing.
Well, here's
which I'm not happy about, but maybe they make it work.
Here's the I'm hoping that they're just doing something with the algorithm or something. I don't know. I'm hoping that they're not really changing anything and it's just like a ruse. But this guy did have an idea that could stop the shenanigans we did in TBC. So let's hear it.
Here, just wanted to quickly touch on a topic that we've been discussing about the queues, as far as fixing the pre-made queuing issue. I've heard a lot of people say that if we cut it down to 5 max pre-made, without putting you in that 10-man pre-made versus pre-made queue, that people would go in a Discord and they would find a way to queue together. What if we were to just give a deserter debuff for people who don't enter battle? That'll prevent people from not entering and re-queuing, prevent groups from getting in together that way, kind of put a dampening on the honor per hour if they're going to specifically try to pre-made and kind of balance things out. What do you guys think about that idea or any other recommendations? I know we've kind of beat this topic to death. Just wanted to bring up this idea and hear your thoughts on it. Thank you.
Now, just reiterate, I do not want this, but this would fix the shenanigans that we were doing to get into a pre-made, because it was usually took 1 to 3 tries to get in there. Like,
right. But here's the thing. It won't fix the shenanigans. What'll happen is people will get into pre-made groups with 30 people instead of 10 people. And they'll all queue together and 10 of them will get into one. And then they'll take that one. The rest of them will stop and re-queue. Like, what I'm saying is that people will figure out a way to like cheat the system. And yes, it will
Oh
make
my
it
God, Mel,
harder.
I should have
And
thought about that. I'm dumb.
I just like it'll make it harder, sure, but it'll still happen and people will still do it. And it's still, again, sure, you can say give them to the deserter, but what if you're like out like doing something and you miss a queue, right? What if you're queuing, you go to the bathroom and your queue pops and you miss it and you come back and now what? You can't queue for another 15 minutes or something? Like, I don't know.
What if they stagger the queues so it's a 5-player cap, but they don't have all 10 players, like both groups of 5, have like join the battleground at the same time? So you wouldn't be able to be like, oh yeah, these two groups both popped at the same time and know that they were going to be in the same group.
The only way that they could actually get rid of it, well, this is saying that if they did solo queue only, which I think none of us are in favor for. The only way they could actually get rid of it is to remove telling you which battleground you're entering. Like that would be an easier way to do it. Is
I
just
think
to say
that, but I also too, in addition, I think one solution, because I don't know a solution to the whole thing. But the only one that comes to my mind is that you open up both factions. So now there's probably like double the amount of BGs going on. So like the queues are now instant. Alliance can go up against Alliance, Horde can go up against Horde, and maybe there's some sort of like matchmaking thing that like the algorithm is just smarter. But like I guess identify. I don't know.
They did that in TBC where you could queue and you could be on the opposite side. You had little masks on.
The problem is there's only so many Alliance BGs like going on, right? Alliance is a 5-minute queue. So a lot of the Alliance are probably just, there's a certain X amount of set of pre-mades for Alliance, right?
And you should be happy for that queue, by the way.
Why?
DMF.
What do you mean DMF? What do you mean?
Dark Moon Fair buff.
Is it up right now? I don't
really
get DMF, so.
So if you don't usually get it, so the best trick to get it is to have a friend queue you for a BG, you die to everybody killing you trying to get the buff, then you run back, and then when your queue pops, you res, grab the buff, hit the queue, right? And then you're sucked out.
Then you leave.
So since Horde queues are so fast, we can't get back to res before the queue runs out.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so just a little.
I don't know if that makes
a little bonus for your, for your longer queues.
Yeah, but I think like opening up both factions might end up adding more, just like overall queue volume, and then allowing maybe I guess a little bit more randomness. And maybe might feel like there's like less always just pre-made versus pug. But I think again,
when we used to do this,
they did it in TBC. No, but here's the thing: they did all this in TBC, which is why I feel like it's kind of a moot point. Like none of it worked in TBC. They tried making it where you could only queue up to 5 people together. They tried making it where you could queue Alliance versus like where you could queue and you could be paired up against Alliance or Horde, no matter your faction. And they had these funny little masks that they wore if you were on the opposite faction. They tried like incentivizing Alliance by giving them little Happy Meals to queue for Battlegrounds.
I love the
right?
Happy Meals.
The
tables have turned now too. So,
but like,
Horde
I guess
have
what I'm saying is that literally all these things that anybody has brought up, they did try. So why are we going back to this drawing board?
What I was going to add is like we did have that, and like we would Arathi Basin and Warsaw Gulch wait till we had our queues pop at the same time, but sometimes our different groups were on opposite sides. So we actually made the change to be like, okay, we have to have at least one healer in each of the groups because we don't want to just give up. Like we want to fight each other if we're against each other. So like it did turn into some fun being able to go up against your buds in the other team. But yeah, it doesn't work. None of it works.
The deserter buff needs to be harsher than just the 15 minutes until you can re-queue. I don't know what they could do to change it, but the people that queue up for Dark Moon Fair and then they're just immediately AFKing and then say they were a healer, we might not get a healer replacement.
Yeah, but you're
So
not.
then now we're stuck with
That's still
9
random.
DPS. Yeah. But
And healers aren't getting Dark Moon fair.
they should be.
Well, I just think like if healers are doing anything like that, again, if you're queuing up as a healer, the queue time is just going to go through the rocket. It's just going to skyrocket. I don't know. I mean, like at this point, you got to just put the trust of Blizzard that they can think of an idea that someone that has been playing this game since, for 20 years and pretty much dumped his entire existence and being into it can't even think of a good solution and just believes that going in on it or just even tinkering with the system is the worst idea. Hey, I'm ready for it. Surprise me.
Yeah, same.
Because it's definitely a really big problem to tackle. And if they can find a solution, I'm gonna tell you right now, they did a fucking miracle and BGs are gonna be incredible. If they can do this right, but again, they don't even have the mutilate animation in, so I just don't know.
I tweeted right back at her and was like, I am interested for this because I feel like you tried everything you could in TBC. So we'll just have to see.
Again, they have markers, right? And like it's like getting your blood tested, right? So at least they have markers to look back on, and they have data to look back on, and they have time to look back on, and those are all healthy markers to make a solid, good change. And it's just one of those things where, hey, listen, also too, SOD is beta or alpha for Classic Plus. So let them do all these things in this. Now. SOD is not perfect. That's why, I mean, I was even saying,
I think that's why we love it though.
Throw in arena, like make this an absolute what the hell? Because even if it becomes the worst of the worst of the worst for this entire year or 2 years that we might play the game, it doesn't matter. They have all of that data, hopefully all of that data to then make Classic Plus truly the game that we want to play for the next decade, 2 decades till we're done. You know what I'm saying? Till we log out.
I say,
till we log out. So, I'm on the side of like, if they have a system, change it. But I'm definitely like, I don't want it to be changed. But since it's SOD, go ahead and change it.
I say keep it imperfect as fuck, because that's what vanilla is, and we obviously love that. So keep it crazy, keep it like not perfect. That's fine. If you want perfect, does it retail have like pretty much everybody does the same DPS, everybody has the same self heal, everybody has the same. Go there. Like there is a game for you.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and I definitely agree. But I think, now like talking it through and getting through the bottled up emotions of SOD phase 1, I would rather have them add these new systems in the game and see how like Azeroth kind of holds up and see like what actually like erodes. Like you have to look at, Classic WoW is a very interesting game that it has been able to withhold the sands of time, and it's still like the number 1 MMO in the entire world, and it literally came out in 2006, right? And now we're getting the first time where the company's actually going back and saying, hey, wait a second, maybe the past 20 years we were just dumb as fuck and we went off the wrong path. Let's go back and revisit, and how can we make Azeroth even better, and how can we make the original game even better? And I think it's going to take those risks. And there's gonna be retail-esque stuff, but like how much, like can vanilla WoW exist with retail stuff and it still feel like vanilla? Like at what point does the game start tipping into retail, or at what point are these new systems actually making vanilla WoW better? And I think they're trying to find those answers out for themselves while also trying to appeal to like a community that's actively playing it. And I'm just on the side, just literally fuck it all up. Do whatever. This character is going to be deleted in 2 years. Does not matter. Give it to us.
Yeah, it's a season for a reason, right? Yeah. Like it's a season so that we can experience and we can explore different ways that we could potentially play the game and to make it the best that it can be when it does come out. I'm so glad they came out with the season first, honestly, because it does give them that opportunity to be like, nope, that didn't land, right? Like,
right. Because if it was Classic Plus and we were like, damn, this is giving me the system for like the moving point on, it would be a lot more alarming. And I think that's probably like more of the perspective that was going in earlier in the conversation. But it's like, they need to figure out like what actually defines vanilla and retail, and like, can these things or like these new systems exist in this old world? And is Azeroth literally just so fucking good that that it literally can just keep and I have all these systems and make the game just
Oop, you just I think you just went to mute.
No, I'm muted. Someone just did like a very, very long TTS, and like I was talking while the TTS was going off, and I'm like, I cannot think while hearing you while talking. I can't do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's weird because this has been something I've recently thought of, and I hate to say it, my boy North the Mage, I have to concede to you finally, after arguing with you for years now about it. You were right. Flying mounts killed the game.
Absolutely did.
They absolutely did, and I was so fucking wrong. Dude, I was so wrong.
Do you know how good TBC would be if there were bridges everywhere in the Outlands and you were forced to be on the ground?
Yep.
It would have been one of the best expansions ever.
You could have like held the bridge, and he even talked about elevators, and I poked fun, and man, North, I was wrong, brother. I was wrong.
Mounts actually kill it. It's just fly hacks. That's all it is. You know what it does? It allows the player to be solo. No longer will you see like, you know, when I grew up playing the game, it was so magical to like, I transferred to BG9 when I was younger. Same. It was the number one Wrath server, and seeing Rekful, seeing Akrios, seeing Hoodrich, seeing all of these legends, Venruki, Sidu, all these guys, Snuts in the game, in the world, was just like such an inspiring thing, right?
I wasn't on their server, but I was in BG9.
Yeah. So on BlackRock, it was crazy. Like you could see literally everyone, all the players that you looked up to, all the streamers, everyone was there. When flying mounts happen, what happens to the world? Everyone's queuing and they're like flying in the sky. They're in some edgy place where they're like, they don't want to be seen. They don't want to be like bothered. And then next thing you know, the city's empty.
And then you get back to your corpse super easy. Like with the way SOD's been, I've had to go help multiple buddies in wetlands, right? To like, you know, help them get their maroons. And that's fun. Like we're going out, I'm protecting buddies, like, you know, and you have to go out in a group, and it's really fun. Whereas if you had a flying mount, you'd just be like, I'll just fly there. And then, you know, maybe if somebody's there, I'll jump to a different tune and come back later, you know, but having to have friends come and help you. This is what the game's all about, guys.
Yo, can I keep it $150 with you though? I am solo queuing Warsong Gulch into a pre-made. Nah, fuck all that shit. Retract everything. Get this shit out of here.
All right, go. Do you want to read the last Discord question?
Yeah, we've got from Bowling Ball, which is perfect because I'm a bowling alley mechanic. So, did you do that on purpose, Bob? You set me up for that one.
Nope.
All right. They say, hey, was listening to the most recent podcast on Spotify and had a question about the AoE situation for rogues. It needs to stay exactly how it is. They don't need it. No, they said,
preach it.
You said you hated Fan of Knives for its play style, but
it's one button.
Would you think of a finisher like Poison Bomb?
Nope.
From more recent expansions. It places an AoE on the ground for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seconds.
I know what it is.
And does nature damage to all enemies standing in its area. I feel it might be a better solution and play into the poison aspect of rogues a bit more. Would love to hear your thoughts on it.
I like that better than Fan of Knives. Like, at least you have to group the mobs and put them in one spot and keep them in one spot, right? Rather than just, if you do Fan of Knives, please, Agren, please, if you already have it in, just take it out. Just take it out. It's okay. We don't want to hit one button to do all of trash in every dungeon. Please don't do it. I don't know. I want to hear what Shobek thinks. I don't know about the bomb thing, but I want something that requires you to group mobs, gameplay, your dumbass teammates can fuck it up, like type of deal. Just like a warrior. Like if they fuck up your pull, like it's a pain in the ass. Like I want that type of thing, but I don't know what I want. Yeah.
I think when it comes to fan and knives, I'm like heavily against it.
Hate it too.
If you're gonna add it to the game, it needs to be probably a 1 to 2 minute cooldown that is used for an oh shit moment. Because I think the problem is already that you see in SOD, we're kind of heading towards this really weird mudding of classes, and I think like everyone, it's almost turning like into a MOBA game, like a mobile, where you're going into a dungeon, you're pulling literally everything at once, you're pressing one button and you're just cooming at the meters, and you're getting this like dopamine feedback that you're a good player, when in actuality you're literally just overtuned, and everyone has one button. And I also think people need to understand that your role there's a beauty in having an individual role. And I love the idea that they introduce rogues as tanks, because I think rogue tanks aren't supposed to be a max trash tank. I think rogue tanks are going to be in later the main tank for a single individual boss or an ad. That they need, it's like they don't need to be a Swiss knife. They are a specific blade in the Swiss knife. And when you have a raid, which is the entirety of the Swiss knife, then you have now, okay, Shobek, I need you for this situation that just arose.
I love
you're
that.
going to be the guy that's going to be able to manage and take over that. And what does that give you? It gives you identity. It gives you the sense of responsibility, and it gives you the sense of being needed by others. And you have that role that can be filled, and you feel like, yo, this is like the thing and type of play style that I can really sink myself into and I can really get into. For example, there's an incredibly high skill cap in rogues when, yes, are you going to be on the top of the meters? No, but there's still an impact of where you can learn how to slice off the combo points, swap to the other mob to be able to pump more damage into the next mob that we're going to kill, and then get more combo points up to maybe get in a finisher. And all of that magic is going to be lost. And essentially we're going to have Living Bomb, Arcane Mages, Fen and Knife spamming, Lava Lashing, fucking explosion shotting. Like, do you see like where it's already getting into? Everyone's AoEing, everyone's doing this. It's like, yo, let's remember, classes are supposed to be different. They can have unique abilities that provide a unique play style for the player, and also provide support in unique scenarios in the raid dungeon encounter that allows people to feel desired and needed, and not that this is just a glorified mobile game and you literally just press one button and you just gather all the mobs and you have infinite aggro and you can just hold aggro and you're now a rogue tank. Like, no, you're not a rogue tank. You're just some weird game design that allows you to just press one button, hold infinite aggro, and now they just gave rogues parry for some reason, and now they take no damage. Like, is that even good class design? No, it's boring class design. It's boring to do. It'll feel dumb, and it's just not cool. So make rogues be incredible at single target or incredible at short burst targets. For example, if I need to off tank a Kumai and like tank the stacks, I'm super good for tanking 4 stacks. Like, I'm incredibly mana efficient for the healers, and I can do a really good fucking job. After that burst window, I start to flatline, and it's like, okay, then the main tank needs to tank over and like give me a little bit of time for me able to like reset my stuff, and then maybe will give it back to me again later on the fight, or just be really good at single target. Because I think that's what rogues are. Like, rogues don't need to be just going crazy, even with the poison cloud, right? That the guy was mentioning. Oh yeah, it'd be great to have like, you have to get the combo points up, and then, well, what's going to happen is you're going to be probably complaining that it's not enough, and you're going to be like, man, this is dog shit, because how are you going to be able to keep your stacks and then also be able to do an effective AoE? And then even at that point, you're now starting getting into this like weird AoE, and rogues just don't need that. Like, rogues aren't, like, we're just not that.
Well, and something that, like, my suggestion from the beginning has been, like, basically give us a rune that changes blade flurry to like it is in Kata, where you toggle it on and off, and you do 50% less damage to each target. So in Kata, you toggle it on and off, So if you toggle it on, you hit two targets, but for 50% of the normal damage you would do. So it's the same damage, but across 2 targets, right? So why not do a rune that gives you 3 targets and 30% of the damage, and then like you could still be tabbing, doing your cool stuff, but like you're hitting multiple mobs. You're still not going to be able to hold crazy aggro against mages and stuff, but it would be something to give you a little something.
I think the question is like why? Like I think you have to like circle back at like why are you even like in the conversation of rogues needing AoE? Like
I think because they introduced rogue tank, right? They introduced rogue tank, and now rogues want to be a tank for every situation. And the reason is because they don't have dual spec. Because there's no reason for a rogue to go in as a rogue tank spec and be a viable option for one boss in a dungeon, right?
Yeah, but it's also phase 1 of
correct.
It's phase 1 at level 25, and these players want to go into Nomergon, spam Fan of Knives, doing one whole dungeon chain pulls, speed clearing at 5 minutes, pressing one button. I think the problem is that not just wait their turn. I just don't even think it's their identity in their class. Again, rogues are incredible single target, and that's how it's always been since the dawn of time. I'm all about like revolution or evolving the class, but evolving the class just to be an AoE spam is just while
I don't want an AoE spam.
Spam. It's but even if you do that, right? Like even if you have the blade flurry,
so maybe it's a cooldown. Yeah, maybe it's a cooldown then. Yeah, but you could change it to where it hits 3 targets or something.
But I just think it needs to be like rogue. But see, the thing is like we don't even have the complete figure of rogue, right? We're just having 25 and we're QQing. But the thing is like you don't even know like how it's even going to be like at 60. When are you pulling more than like 2 wolves? 2 dogs in MC? Like this doesn't even exist. Well, and like in a normal pug or any sort of situation. So right now you're just kind of like you're gonna dumb down the player. They're not gonna be, because you give a person an inch, they're gonna go a mile. If you already create this kind of play style for them, then that narrative needs to probably fit later in the game. But if you give them the narrative and they start learning the toolkit on how to be that one individual knife in the Swiss knife, then at the time they get 60, then it's an incredible experience, and then I have experience while doing it. I'm just so against AoE. Again, SOD, go for it. Make it crazy, give us AoE, but like
no Fan of Knives, please don't. Yeah, please don't. I am with you there. Lots of the things I say are kind of like devil's advocate too. So, but I just don't like to say it because then people don't really get into it when they're listening. But I'm going to jump to one of our like news parts just so I can point this out to everybody that's bitching, moaning about rogue tanks, or even because basically warrior tanks deal with the same thing. Like, I mean, if you're doing it right as a warrior tank right now, you're hitting one button for the most part, and that is Sunder, and you have the what's it called rune on the everybody knows what I'm talking about.
I don't play warrior.
Oh fuck.
All right, well, Strike?
No, it's the
Endless Fury, the 80 Rage one?
Devastate. Yeah, they're also using Endless Rage. They're using basically a DPS build, but they're hitting one button and they're single target. Like the good ones are using engineering on big pulls with dynamite to like get snap threat on a big group, and then they're tabbing. Tank Warrior is the number 3 best DPS in the game as of last week. Tank Rogue is the 7th best DPS in the game as of last week. Shaman, who are the only tanks that can keep AoE threat, are the worst damage in the entire game. So it's okay if we give rogues and warriors AoE, boom. No one's ever going to take a fucking Shami. So I'm just saying, like,
Also,
tit for tat, there are pros and cons, and I like what you've been spitting.
Yeah, and that's like another thing too, right? You bring up a really good point. If you give the two classes that are honestly just so, because here's the thing. You bring the other classes to buff rogues and warriors, right? You bring the other classes, buff the melees, and the melees are just going to be astronomically better at DPS just because of auto attack swing. It just adds so much more damage. There's just too much downtime in casting. It's like almost impossible for them to like really keep up, which is not a problem. I just think we live in, again, the player style or the player persona is going through a shift. And they care more about logs. I mean, we saw a 182% change in Star Search. We went from druids being challenging in PvP to literally being unbelievably broken.
Oh my god, they're so
PvE, good. And then in PvE, they're literally absolutely insane. Well, now what's going on is like, well, rogues still pump the same. Now you're just adding boomies to the equation. Hunters still pump the same. So the raid isn't getting harder. All the classes are getting 10 times stronger. And now it's like, now we're even wanting to get the best classes, even like more stuff and more control. It's like, I think people need to realize that classes bring things to the table. And just because you're not top DPS doesn't mean that you're irrelevant. And I think we're just chasing logs so hard with just parsing. And I get it. It's fun. And like, that's the thing. Maybe I'm just a different player or a different customer, different populace. And like, I don't necessarily care for parsing and stuff like that. So I'm coming from a place where I think people should be okay bottom parsing with their class and that they should be, you know, a part of the group and understanding that they're bringing value and effort with their buffs and the one-off things. For example, druids can bring B-res, druids can bring innervates. These are very key components for you to be able to clear raid.
Wind Fury now.
Wind Fury for shamans and Wind Fury now for druids, which I think is great. I think that's awesome. But I think like the class identity is getting lost. And again, if we're just adding everyone having AoE and then everyone just doing crazy ass damage, it's like, well, that's going to kill the logs. We might see an inverse effect. Is everyone just gonna have 99 parses at that point, or are we just gonna like one shot people?
Hold on, I'm gonna turn it back around on you and say that players should watch the logs and their parses more than they watch their in-game damage, because logs, parses put you up against your same class, same spec. So you can see what you're doing out of them. Like, we have a 99 parsing Shadow Priest that doesn't beat us in DPS ever during the raid, but he beats us in fucking parses because he's parsing 99s. So like, look at what your class does and be happy with that rather than wanting to be the biggest number on details. And
it's like it shifted from like it no longer. It's just changed the way the game is played, and I think people are just very, very fixated,
super hyper fixated.
And then that's kind of like what retail went down with. Retail PvE designers are no longer designing a boss that feels like what the boss would do. They're designing a boss around DBM. They're designing a boss around literally aura and weak aura announcements. We're now designing so far with what happened with BFD. We are designing the raid around people's logs and their ability to put up numbers close to warrior and rogue and hunter.
Yep.
And I just don't think that's a healthy decision. And I don't think that like that should be it just sucks because realistically, that is a very, very large audience. It's a very, very, very large audience. And so it's a delicate thing. But I don't know. I just feel like that isn't the right answer, but maybe it is. And maybe like that's just the future of gaming and finding a way to make it works out. But I don't know.
It's also it's also a little bit of education because I think people are wanting and expecting to get 99s. And guys, unless everybody in your raid comes fully buffed, knows exactly what they're doing, you're not going to get 99s. Like, kill time is a thing. Like, you're not being judged based on just how like when you press your buttons and did you do the right rotation? You're getting judged on everybody else that like throws all these extra steps in and has crazy quick kill times. So you're not going to like you're chasing something you can't chase. The best way to use logs is just to go with the same group and then look at your change in parse every week. No matter what that number is, if it's going up, you're doing a good job.
Yeah, but I think we should probably move on to the news because
we're gonna go ahead and skip what we've been doing because these guys, please send in more voicemails, good comments, good Discord questions. These are all great, so thank you so much. Remember that number is 816-866-1066 or speakpipe.com/Warcraft Reloaded. Let's move on to time for the news. All right. So the news isn't really there's not really much, but we did want to let you know that just like we thought was going to happen, the marks of honor from Warsong Gulch have been removed from item restoration. If they're in your mailbox, I believe you have until the 8th to turn them in. But yeah, you can no longer save all of those up, because I think a lot of people were confused, thinking 100 was the cap. 100 became the cap in TBC. The cap in vanilla is 20, and then anything after that gets sent to your mailbox and disappears after 24 hours. Before, they were going to item restoration, so you thought you would be able to restore them when phase 2 launches and then turn them all in for EXP. That is not the case. You should probably turn them in now. The only thing that you might be able to do is possibly, because the PvP week restarts on generally Tuesdays, and phase 2 releases on a Thursday. You might be able, if they're in your mailbox now, you might be able to pull them out and use them on Tuesday and maybe get an honor jump towards rank 4 coming in phase 2. I don't know if that will work or if it will be reset on Thursday when it happens. But if they're in your mailbox already, you could wait until then to turn them in. That was not my idea. That was ClassicGho Gaming's idea. And if you guys don't watch this guy, he's great. You should check out his YouTube channel. Any thoughts on that, guys?
The item restore tool just needs to go away.
Or just needs to be 24 hours.
Sorry.
Yeah, when you restore it or something. I don't know. Instead of 365 days.
I think the item restoration is totally fine. I mean, they fixed the bug or the abusive mechanic of it, but I think the restore is great. I use it all the time.
What are you using it for?
He's probably like me, accidentally fucking selling shit.
Accidentally selling stuff. Sometimes, for example, on Era, I would sell some tier stuff and I redeem it. Sometimes I delete an accidental quest item, it'll be there. Sometimes if I delete a chest, I think the other week I deleted my Westfall. I sold it, but I was I kind of want to get it back. So I think it's just kind of there. It doesn't hurt the game, in my opinion. You pay the gold for the item anyways. They already are not allowing people to bug and abuse for the marks. So it's just a supportive system that I think really just adds goodness to the game.
It continuously hurts the game, I think. The Warlaid supply crates, whatever those are called, people abuse the shit out of that and got an early advantage.
TBC quest items for pre-questing. They could have the quest item.
This is a classic example of WoW players will be WoW players and they will figure out a way to game the system. And you see that they're trying to fix it, right? They're trying to keep the item restoration in there for what it was meant to be, which is just I deleted an item, now I want it back, or oh god, I didn't know that I was going to need my tier 1 gear in phase 3 and now I want to restore it, right? Someone else did that.
And I mean, when we saw the crates being abused, I messaged a couple different devs. I got the same answer. The bottom line is that it cuts down hundreds, if not thousands, of customer service hours, and it is what it is.
I mean,
I hate
think
that
like
term.
I think they just need to ban specific items. Like, what's so hard about blacklisting?
That's what they're doing now. Yeah, that's what they're doing now.
They are doing. I'm happy about that. So, like, moving forward, yeah, if they abuse that in TBC, cool. But I mean, obviously, people are going to abuse it and with the marks in phase 2, but that's just got nipped.
I think quest items should have always been banned. I'm just saying, just because if you delete it, just go do the quest again. Like,
you delete your tier, go run the raid again.
Well, the tier, I don't think there's anything wrong with bringing the tier back. I mean, sometimes you find out, like, remember,
go get it again.
Remember when druids found out that the 8-set bonus or whatever.
Don't argue with Go on this.
listen, Go. I'll keep it $150 with you. I had 0 inventory on Era. I literally had to sell my tier 1 just to like hold consumes and stuff. I had to sell tier 1, and I knew I could restore like months later.
See, now we're getting to the issue. It's a bag space issue. We need more bag space, and I agree with more bag space.
We need. Oh, I've been meaning to say this on the pod forever. We need a account bank. Why don't we have that? Like, don't mail shit to your alts. Have an account bank that we could that every character can fucking grab from, and you could upgrade it in different ways. Like, please. Like, I'm tired of
loopholes. I think there's like loopholes and stuff like that when it comes to like cycling gold and like buying or something like that. That could potentially like be a harmful thing. Like, when they introduced guild banks, that was like the freest thing. And I get it. It's like all on your account. I do think though, like those little things keep like things MMO, right? Like if it's sending gold, I think mail, I don't mind mail being instant when it's account.
I'd love instant. I'd love instant.
Yeah, I'd love instant, but I just think like some of those things, they start tapering away, right? Like they start tapering away, seeing like bank alts in the world and like still the people. And I don't know, just one of those things that it just kind of keeps everything still intact, even though it seems like minuscule and mundane. It's one of those things I think is important. And even like backspace and being scuffed on backspace, I do think we need more, but I don't even think we need too much more. Like I'm scared to have too much more backspace. You know, I don't want to open up and accidentally press my bag. Next thing you know, my entire screen's like a 70 slot bag with like multiple tabs, and I can hold everything in the entire game.
Right, like I'm a hoarder already, and I don't have a lot of bag space. So imagine the type of hoarder I would be if I did have a lot of bag space.
I'm with you there. Whenever I log into Wrath now, I'm like, oh, anxiety.
So much.
Because I'm carrying so much shit.
I'm about to buy my, I think it's 5th bank slot for 50 gold, and that's right now. That's a good chunk of change, but I want that.
I haven't even bought the 3rd bank slot. I just have like bank alts, and then I keep stuff like back and forth in my mail. Just like mail it to my person, then like
TSM's
it back
nice
to my
for that too.
And then
like to see all your stuff across all tunes is pretty nice. Oh man! All right, well. The next bit of news is very sad. So it wasn't just Blizzard, but Microsoft Gaming laid off 1,900 employees just a couple days ago, including Mike Ybarra, the president of Blizzard.
Not true. He resigned.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the way CEOs always do it. Like he was let go. Yeah, he was let go.
Give false info. He resigned.
Okay.
I think it was probably. Yeah, I think it was probably something agreed on earlier on. To be honest,
I think he's probably known for a long time. He's getting a great package, but the people that aren't getting a great package are all these small people getting laid off. So our heart goes out to them. Hope they can find a job. I hope none of our classic WoW people were taken. And Granda for president of Blizzard.
I'm done. I think.
Anybody else got anything on it?
It sucks. I think it's very expected after a merger. I think there's a lot of I mean, you don't ever
It's completely normal
where everybody keeps their job. I think, it's unfortunate that a lot of people got laid off, and my heart goes out to them. I think they'll land on their 2 feet and find something else, I'm sure.
One thing that there might be a pretty good care package given, because when this happened to me, my company, I'd worked there for 10 years, got bought out, and they replaced the entire IT, and I was one of them, but I got paid. So hopefully they're getting a good pay. Yeah. I know the smaller time guys aren't, and I'm sorry for you. But yeah.
I don't know the president though. Was he a good impact on Vanilla WoW? I don't necessarily know.
On Vanilla, I don't know. He was a huge retail guy that actually did mythic rating and stuff, but I don't know that he was all that big on Classic.
Didn't he take over after all the controversy?
Well, him and a girl took over as co-presidents, and then she resigned at some point.
And do we know who the next president is going to be, or is it someone from Microsoft? Is it someone from the older crew?
I don't know. I was just saying, Grand is my vote.
Which is interesting that they would announce these layoffs. Like, typically, I guess in my experience with acquisitions and things, your biggest goal is to announce a layoff with a plan for the future, right? So announcing layoffs and not giving any indication of like what the contingency plan is a little worrisome, I guess. But maybe they're just waiting for this news to settle down, and then they'll let us know who's taking over. That just seems weird. I would do it differently.
Well, I think, I don't know. I don't know business politics. And I definitely don't think they're a dumb company.
No, they're not.
I don't know. But politics are so weird.
All I know is Bobby Kotick is going to be gone.
Gone.
So I don't care who else takes over. I'm like, I mean, if Go took over, I'd really like it, even though he probably has no idea what he's doing like me. But either way.
Shit on rogues. Rogues would not be able to, they'd have to go to one weapon. It'd be a wand. You'd have to fight with a wand, throw poison on it.
We could do that. No, but yeah, it's just sad. I just wanted to say sorry to everybody. And then the last piece of news, well, not the last piece. We have a discussion on the last piece of news, but yeah, Blizzard Entertainment survival game canceled. I was kind of excited about what this could have been.
I don't really care for survival games. We have Paul World and Unshrouded. I want an MMO, baby. Give us a
yeah, dude. Everybody's been playing the Pala World. I'm just like, I don't want to. I played SOD.
I just think it's interesting that, like, I feel like there had to be barriers with the new survival game because there was a lot of hype about it, and then it just went silent for a long time, right? Like, it was like, oh yeah, that's a thing. They didn't mention it at BlizzCon, so like, I feel like there was little things in there that you were like, okay, maybe this isn't a thing. I feel like it didn't get off the ground the way they wanted it to or something. But at this point, they're just like, cut our losses now and move on. I don't know. It could have been something cool. I don't know enough about it.
Yeah, and I mean, I met one of the, and Go did too, met one of the...
Mel did too.
Yeah, Mel did too. One of the main devs. And he was so cool, and I hope that he's gotten another position someplace in the company. I'm not sure what has happened to him, but
I think Microsoft's got to be. Microsoft's in right now. They just bought out the company. It was a very big expense. They are not ready to, I think, invest in projects that aren't proven at this point. But I will say, when was the last time Blizzard came out with a game?
Overwatch. No, Warcraft.
Rumble.
A non-mobile game.
Ooh. It's a perfect time.
Warcraft Rumble is like a, play on the current games.
Everybody in the audience, we started our own Warcraft Rumble guild. It's called WCR Space Podcast. You guys want to join? Join. So, sorry. Just throw that in there.
Yeah, we can move on. That's all I had.
All right. Well, we are sorry, and we hope you guys aren't affected too bad. We hope all of the WoW Classic team was kept, because you guys, so far as we know, have been awesome. Let's move on to
Bobby, we need to have a talk about this World of Warcraft Classic. Do I look like I know what a WoW token is?
All right. So the last piece of the show. Which classes will improve the most in Phase 2 of Season of Discovery? And Wowhead gave us a little sneak peek at the different the different just moves that we know are coming. And I was wondering, what do you guys think? Who's gonna take a big jump?
Fire mages and warlocks. As far as casters go, I don't really know melee that well, but I think they're gonna increase their gap above even Shadow Priest, Balanced Druid, and Ellie Shaman. They're just gonna move ahead, and we might go up a little bit, the rest of us casters, but mage and
Doesn't
warlock
Shadow
are
Priest
just
get
gonna
shadow
go.
form?
Yeah, but is that really gonna help them that much? Are they gonna have to shift out of their shadow form to like off heal or something? Because people are gonna be like, "Oh yeah, we don't need 2 main healers. We just have a shadow priest," and then they just
Then that
shift
shit
out.
suck.
Yeah, but it's what 15. I guess it's 15% damage from where they're at now. Like, is that gonna help?
If you actually
15%?
add up everything they're getting, it's about 40% more damage, but add 40% damage to their current damage. I don't know.
And then fire gets what? Curse of Shadow is 6%. They get improved Scorch, which is another 15.
I think you're thinking in like if Shadow Priest had shadow form right now, they would be much higher, right? But because they get shadow form and these other people get other things, you're saying that in and of itself is going to make shadow form less impactful.
I think Shadow Priest is only going to buff themselves. They're not going to buff any other class. Well, I guess they could buff certain warlocks that are doing shadow damage, but I think all the warlocks are going to be doing fire damage. So I think the synergy with fire mage and warlock is just going to get even better and even stronger.
Okay. I mean, I'm not a Shadow Priest, but
we need some plus nature.
I am a priest,
for the.
So I feel very attached to them.
Yeah, we need a plus nature damage built in somewhere for the shaman and balanced druid, and then I'll be happy.
I think shaman healing and shaman elemental DPS is going to be huge, because if you look at what shaman get, chain lightning as well as chain heal is a level 40 spell. And one of the biggest things we've seen with the casters throughout SOD is if you got your new spell at 24, that spell is powerful. If you got your new spell at 18 or 20, that spell is not powerful. So elemental shamans might be, and healers might be like looking, and chain, there's something else that's also, I can't remember. I think it's in elemental.
Don't they get elemental mastery? So essentially they can cast lightning bolt into an overload, into then an aura mastery instant cast, and then that can also overload. So in like one glow or one cast, they can get 4 casts off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think next phase we're really gonna get like an actual bite of what SOD is gonna actually feel and be. And like all the classes come online next phase. I'm very, very excited.
Rogue comes on.
Rogue?
Yeah. Let's
Warrior.
hear it.
I think Warrior is the biggest. I mean, like, granted, rogues get cheap kidney and blind for sure, but Warrior literally gets Warbringer, Charge, Intercept, which is a warrior we've never seen before. I think we're probably gonna get Shield Reflect or Spell Reflect, sorry. Next phase.
We also get Whirlwind.
Whirlwind, you get Intercept, Mortal Strike, and you're going to have probably some ridiculous two-hander that's going to be insane. I think Warriors are going to be brutal, and rightfully so. That's the that's where they deserve to be. And I'm so excited for Warriors.
I think Rogue's gonna be fucking sick, man. I think we're gonna have some interesting stuff going on.
Right now, there's around 7 specs that you can play. You can do Vigor Mutilate. You can do Seal Fate Mutilate. So if you do Vigor Mutilate with Seal Fate, you can get 4 combo point, 1 Mutilates. If you do it with Backstab, 40 energy. That's 2 combo points for 40 energy. We have never seen 2 combo points for 40 energy. You can also do Combat, which I think is going to be probably like one of the best flag carrying specs, because Adrenaline Rush ticks for 50 energy per 2 seconds. With Slaughter from Shadows, that means no matter where you are on the energy bar, every 2 seconds you get a backstab. And we've never seen a rogue that has 15 seconds of I think it's like what, 7 points, it's like 7.5 backstabs over Adrenaline Rush. I mean, like, that's just gonna be insane.
What about
see
this?
That would mutilate.
What about this?
What?
So think about Deadly Brew and how it can apply 2 poisons at once. So think about vile poisons and improved poisons too. You're double dipping on that talent now if you use Deadly Brew rune.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think with Deadly Poison, the 5 stacks already happened so fast, and Envenom doesn't consume it anymore, if I read the tooltip correctly, but I haven't used Envenom, so I might be wrong on that. But
I can't tell. It doesn't seem like it consumes it. It doesn't.
Yeah, but right now, Blizzard did a very interesting thing where right now on the board, there's like 7 specs that you can play just right off the talents. But they interestingly added Shiv and Mutilate. And Shiv pretty much is going to give you the feel of TBC rogues, where in vanilla, you'd always run double crippling poison and you would never really shiv. You can't shiv. You would never weapon swap. So next phase, we might actually see TBC rogue, where rogues are now going to have 3 stacks, 4 stacks of poison. They're going to use mind numbing shiv right after the cheap shot, or like into a cheap shot. Your first global is going to be a shiv for mind numbing, just in case if it's a caster and they want to like trinket out. So we're going to be seeing so much more like dynamic gameplay from rogue, where we've just never really seen that before. And I'm so goddamn excited. Like, there's so many different specs to play, Theorycraft, and then also seeing how these new playstyles intertwine with vanilla. Like, it's crazy.
I'm so excited for the macros that you were going to give me in
I don't use macros. I don't use macros.
What?
I use everything. Yeah, I don't use any macros.
You do
The only macro I'll use would be a weapon equipped. I don't use macros. I even use tab sap. I don't even use a sap macro. I'm old school, baby.
No, you're the one. No, hold on. You're the one that I learned the glove
macro.
The glove swap macro from at the start of SOD. And then they nerfed it.
Yeah, that's rune dancing.
But that's still a macro.
Yeah, but I mean, I only did that macro because, like, I mean, how can you not, man? It's rune dancing. You get an extra glove room. Which, by the way, Blizzard, I will say, man, that was crazy to have for a moment on Rogue.
They fixed it so fast. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it wasn't necessarily the Rogue that was broken. It was more so people, like, for example, mages, you could get a sheep reset and just swap everything. So, like, imagine you're a mage and you sheep, swap to healing rune, heal yourself up, re-swap back. And so, like, you're having this thing where other classes were getting out of combat, and it was way more impactful than, like, a rogue just using vanish. Because, again, rogue, when they rune dance, there was a risk reward, right? I need to press shadow. I need to press my vanish to swap to this rune to give me an advantage. And I can also break my vanish can break, not get the swap off, and then I'm stuck with the previous rune, and then I don't have vanish. So it was a high risk reward that was making the rogue gameplay more expansive, and I think it complemented the rogues really, really well without making it busted, because, again, there's a risk reward into it. But other classes, like blatantly getting out of combat naturally and then just full rune swapping into something totally different, that was like, I think the real fix where it was like, nah, this is like way too busted. I don't think it was actually rogue being like the root cause of it being changed.
Yeah, see, I use macros for almost every move. Like Sinister Strike always throws the proper weapons in. If I'm opening with ambush, then it throws my dagger on the main hand. Like, I mean, I'm doing things like that constantly, but like,
I guess it's an RP thing with me, and it's kind of like how I also like to play warrior. I think the more key inputs, I think the better it feels, and it feels like more interactive, and you have like more control over it, and like you are the decision maker, and like you're making the decision to like, you know, swap it here, swap it there. But I totally get it. I mean, if I'm running swords, I don't even use ambush. I take it off my bar. So maybe you still run ambush, and I could see definitely a weapon swap. But
I do I do run like, so right now I just basically PvP in the same PvE rogue thing setup, and then I just switch to the 2 gun runes, and then shadow shadow, is it
Shadow Strike?
Yeah. And then I just like basically move. I have my macro over on the far right side, like on 8, which I never hit. I just swap I swap blade, Sinister Strike for, boy, I'm blanking on the names.
No, you're good. I mean, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, for the bleed target
I'm
one.
Everything out. Yeah, Saber Slash. Yeah, I'm swapping everything around. Like if I'm gonna go dagger, I move keys around, and I always have to move stuff around. But
I don't even play dagger in PvP, just because
it's annoying.
I'm too lazy to like go change specs. And honestly, if I'm PvPing in a group, I feel like it's completely fine, and to be dagger like doesn't really help all that much, like in Warrior Song and stuff. Like I'm basically slowing people.
I think dagger is probably not to say that you're doing anything wrong, by the way.
It is definitely better. It is definitely better. Yeah,
you play
it is definitely better.
Yeah, I'm a fan of playing whatever you like and want. I've even been playing swords just because it looks cool. Dagger, I think, is definitely the more impactful one.
And it's the one you're going to be able to actually delete a priest by yourself. Whereas the sword spec, you're not.
Yeah, let's not promote that.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Nobody kill priests. Leave the priests alone. They're fine.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, in a group setting, like I do just fine with that spec rather than switching to dagger. If I'm 1v1ing, like then like no, I want to be dagger, you know. So, but like I just don't really want to swap. Like if I had dual spec, I would have a dagger spec. But I hang out in Thunder Bluff for the buff, and I don't want to fucking go to org to fucking change my fucking spec. So can't do it in Thunder Bluff. So you know what I mean? Like it doesn't impact me as much in group PvP as it would in dual spec.
Yeah, I think we'll get dual spec at 60.
You think? I think people are going to be enraged if it's not
next phase.
Yeah, this phase. I think people are going to be pissed.
Be enraged no matter what. Like they're going to find something to be enraged about. I don't know. I think we'll get it by level 60. That's what I'll say.
Please, guys. Okay, we have small talents right now. So like I'm able to get away with PvPing and having a good time. I'm a little less good. But if we go to level 40, I'm going to be a lot less good in PvE spec. If you do this is your biggest, like this is the biggest thing you need to put in, Blizzard. Dual spec period. If you want world PvP to still be a thing, do it. That's my stance.
Yep. No, I think there's no real drawbacks to dual spec. I just don't think there's really any drawbacks. I mean, if you want to say gold sync, GDKPs are pumping in way more gold. GGG's pumping way more gold. So
yeah, they dropped the price too.
I think like old idea. I think it was fine. It was good to have a gold sync for players. But I think now it just kind of adds so much needless friction that it's just better to have the player have a PvE and a PvP or 2 different PvPs.
Yep. I like it. All right. Anything else? Anybody else wanted to talk about? Any other specs?
No, I'm just excited for next phase. I think next phase is like actually the first phase of SOD. This was like a alpha launch, man.
A little under 2 weeks, right?
Yep.
Boy, did you do any pre-quests, Shobek?
No, I'm doing the war song, and then I think next week I'll be doing all of the pre-quests. And
are you getting the Geordie pre-quest guide? It's good.
No, haven't done that. I'm just gonna go to Red Ridge, Wetlands, kind of just pick up the yellow ones and just do that. If it's not right, it's
your
not right.
alliance. Okay, yeah. Okay. It's gonna be
guide too.
Yeah. They have an alliance guide. I just don't know that guide.
Yeah.
So for the Horde,
Red Ridge.
yeah, for the Horde, I don't know if it's the same for the alliance, but for the Horde, these quests are hard. And you like have a ton of world PvP while you do it. We've had the most fun ever having a 5-man group and like doing like a lot of the quests are in hills, like, Torn Mill, Hills, Bread. Like, and we're having so much fun PvPing while doing the quests. It's been so neat. So I don't know if Alliance will have the same deal. I don't know how many quests you actually have in Hills, Bread at the moment. But
yeah, I'm not too sure. My character is so unique. So I just re-rolled earlier this week on Monday on a fresh tune. And I didn't do like all the BFD quests. So I have all of like the BFD quests that everyone has done to turn in for gear and rep and like all of that. So like I have like a unique quest log where, because I'm on a fresh character, like I'm not getting the Seal of Wern. So like once I've done, I turn in all of my stockade quests. I do that entire
the whole
chain.
Running to all the things to get your
chain.
ring. Yeah.
But that's like one quest worth of like 3 or 4 quest XP. So I have such a unique quest log that like that's gonna be cool.
Yeah, that was like 4 or 5. Like that was nuts because you run to like 7 different people and you get small amounts, but you get like 3 big amounts for that one.
Yeah, no. So I have like a really weird quest log that is, I guess, unique to a person that is leveling up literally this week and doing it all. So
why did you leave us in Swamp?
I left in Swamp because there was a need for me to be in the guild. First off, I first left because I wanted to re-roll and like change the name. Then I got bugged. Then I leveled a new character. I've leveled 25 characters, by the way. I think I have more 25s than anyone. And they're all rogues with just different hairstyles and skin tone.
Dude,
all of them are rogues.
I wish we would have had Simon Eyes on. You guys would have had so much fun together.
I love Simon. Yeah, he's a great guy. And yeah, so from there, I just felt that there was a need. I was getting like a lot of like, yo, your presence needs to be like felt and met in the guild. And I'm like, well, I think that matters more than right now being like, A, I'm kind of raid logging, and then B2, it's like 25. And so I just I'm like already, even right now, I'm in a tough spot. I have people that want me to on Horde. Yo, Shobek, we miss you on Horde. And it's like, I go over to Horde, then people are like, yo, why aren't you on Alliance? And so it's pretty much impossible to please everyone. I can only be in one place at one time. And I think what makes me the most happy is me RPing as my Night Elf. And I just followed that. And
I miss being Alliance.
Yeah, I have my character in my guild because I think it's kind of like the right thing. But that doesn't mean I'm not boys with people in Swamp and I don't care for them and everything like that. But it's just, I can only be in one spot. So.
Wait, do you play all 13 of your rogues?
No, they're all deleted other than like one.
Oh, no.
I just delete them because I use the same name. So like if I want to re-roll, I'll delete that character and then like literally start over with the name Shobek. So like it's every single re-roll is pretty much the same character. And it's like,
oh my God. So do you do any PvE? You do a lot of PvP. Do you do any PvP or PvE?
Or, I mean, I'll do PvE when I need the gear, but there's usually a point where I'm like, I'm good enough.
Yeah.
Once I'm good enough, I don't like to do it anymore. I play the game to PvE. Like PvE is a means to PvP for me. So I'm always just like, if I get full bis in like 2 or 3 runs, hell yeah. But like, if I'm kind of bis in 2 runs, like, all right, but I ain't doing it anymore. It's good enough. I'm here to play the game.
This brings me to a question, because I've been hearing this a bunch, and I'm like, fuck no. I'm curious if you're like, fuck yeah. Everybody's asking for PvP gear, like Zil-based PvP gear, where you're getting most of your gear from doing PvP stuff, and I fucking hate that. But what's up?
I don't mind gear being rewarded through like constant effort. I think the rank 14 grind, when you really look at it, is just the most beautiful thing ever, because if you try to expedite it and create arena rating for gear, what you end up going to have is people just selling it outright, and people are just going to expedite the process, and they're going to get it, and they're going to be done with it, and they're not really earning it. Even if you purchased a rank 14 and you had someone play your account, you are waiting the 2, 3, 4 months no matter what. So you're already getting the attendance badge waiting, and you're just paying the money to just have this facade. If you do it, you put the time in and you've earned it. And I think that gear is something that should be rewarded for players. And I love the rank 14. If you want to add new gear to the game, I'm a little hesitant. I don't mind like new bluer gear that is not as good as the blue gear, because again, time in and the effort is actually the perfect system, because we just live in the world of just, we're going to cheat, we're going to scheme, and we're going to work around it. Not everyone, but people are going to sell an X, Y, and Z. So I don't like that. I don't like resilience. I hate it. I think what ends up happening with resilience is defensive ends up always being the meta. And you can look at Overwatch as like a really kind of way to kind of see how things end up happening, right? Well, what happened? Overwatch came out, dive comp was the best, and it was a lot of fun to watch, and it was a lot of fun to play.
Yep.
Obviously, that is opinionated, and I get to see that. But you can see through that opinion, which definitely didn't do well. And yeah,
well,
and
but
then
you know,
added,
everybody hated goats, but as a Reinhardt made, it was the only time I hit Masters. So, you know, tit for tat for everybody, right?
Yeah.
And I was the star of the show, so
yeah. So maybe you're a little bit biased, but I think
I'm definitely biased. No, I definitely liked dive more. I'll just say that right now.
But it's not, you know, like dive, just jump in. It's more so just emulating aggressive gameplay and learning how to be fast reacting, learning how to see the moment and seek the opportunity. I think those things are like super important for players to be able to master, because that's what gets a player to not just play it for a day. That's what gets a player to like make sacrifices and want to play it for like years to come, or maybe even invest their entire persona and being into it. And then that is where you're going to have fulfillment in life as a person. And yeah, you can go ahead and laugh at that, but you know, becoming a pro player in World of Warcraft or a video game is no different than being a fisherman, being a hunter, being a basketball player, a soccer player. We're all investing our time into a craft and a mastery. And I feel like whenever you add the resilience and the defensive gameplay, specs that have already defensive talents in it, they skyrocket in skill just because they're able to now totally outlast. And usually that gameplay is not even fun. Usually it is just a button, or you're like losing to something that just feels like, right now, Druids, they put one hot up and then they just star surge you down, and they have defensive talent points that they go into.
And they can shift out of everything.
And you know, it just doesn't feel like, you know, it doesn't matter what moment of how much energy management I'm doing, seizing the moment to get a gouge off and like stack combo points right when the hot's about to fall off, and then like do it between the eyes and try to get him down. It doesn't even matter all this like minute sequences that I'm processing. It just gets nulled out by like one dude pressing a button. So I don't like resilience, because resilience ends up being king. I don't like rewards being added too easily, just because, well, how's all the other gear going to fit? And I also just really like gear just being freaking brutal to get, because it makes it more rewarding. It makes you play the game more. So that's my rant.
Yeah, I liked the Warsaw Gulch change where they just said 20%, you know, like less damage. And I was like, great. So everybody could go in with whatever gear they want. They don't have to be like, oh, should I do half resilience gear? Should I do half regular gear? Should I do this, and this? They're just using their gear, and like it does slow down the gameplay a bit and makes it, a little bit more counterplay, right? So like I like what they did there. And so yeah.
I don't necessarily know how I feel about the soft damage reduction. I think people can, like someone from my chat said that it was just terrible, but I think you have to see like both sides from it now. Like imagine if there were, sometimes I'll go up against a shaman or a druid and I'm backstabbing for 70 damage for 40 energy and they have 2.5k health, and it's kind of sitting here like, damn, like what am I even doing? But then on the other
who
caveat,
has like my warrior got up to 2056 and he's pretty fucking geared. How do you get to 2.5?
I think what you're doing is using Rumsey Rum, you're using the big heal.
Yeah, I'm using Rumsey Rum, everything.
Well, regardless, say for example, it's 2k still. Right now, if there was no damage modifier, then rogues are going to be backstabbing you for like 400, and it's like, does that make for more funner gameplay? So I think there's always a delicate balance that they're trying to act. Adding pure gear, I don't think is in the game, but probably adding some blanket damage dampening is nice, like what they did. But maybe it's too much, maybe it's too little. But
again, I mean, that could be a thing. But
I also just think that, again, it's SOD. So if they want to add any sort of new systems in the game, just like add it in and see how it works.
Yeah,
I think.
Trying to balance the PvE and the PvP gear and runes, I think is going to be a very difficult thing for them throughout the entire season, right? And so toss things in there, see how they land, and see what works, I think is their best bet for the season, to be honest.
I also think too, not to talk over you, but I think one real important thing about Vanilla WoW is like getting gear and being a little bit more broken, because we know how you have to like kind of tooth and nail for some of the gear. And so nulling that is also kind of like, damn, I worked so hard for this piece of gear, and then now like all my damage is getting nulled out. Like this kind of sucks. But again, it's a fine juggling act. Like how do you make it so it's still broken in OP, but then there's still like fun interactive outplay and like all of this. It's a very, very delicate thing. And it's not as easy, and there's no real just easy answer for it. And WoW has such a crazy fluid gameplay that no other game has been able to replicate. And to just like, you're trying to perfect, or like you're trying to improve perfection in a lot of ways, and it's just so hard.
So Go has said multiple times on the show that like he doesn't like the damage negating, but he'd be fine with a stamina buff within. So you're still seeing the same numbers you normally see, but people just have more stamina. But what I'm going to throw in before, because Go wants to definitely talk, I think, I'm going to throw in, if you don't have something that protects healers from just being deleted, then you're just going to get a no healer meta where you're just trying to blow targets up. And that's not going to be fun for anybody either. So, although it might be fun for those solo players that don't get healers in their group.
You can melt a healer right now. Like, even with the 20%
damage but reduction. Imagine like, without...
You're always going to be able to nuke a healer.
Imagine without that, though.
You could still nuke a healer before the 20% damage reduction.
Yeah, you could nuke them easier.
Oh, I mean, yeah. But I mean, you could still nuke them if you get 3 people on a healer. You get a rogue, you get a hunter, you get a balance druid, and you're on Discord. You're chilling. You're in your pre-made.
If you're going,
like, all right, nuke, and then boom, everybody hits their damage. You get Star Surge, you get backstab, you get the hunter pet, all at the same time. Then yeah, the healer's gonna drop down.
I don't know if you're going against another pre-made, they're going to swap heals to that target pretty fast. It's going to be pretty hard. The biggest trick for anybody who wants to lead a Warsong Gulch group is call targets and switch often. because people are not going to get that switch that you just did. You're like, okay, switch to the rogue, like just instantly. And if at least 4 or 5 switch, you are going to drop them instantly because they've all been just like trying to keep the one guy that you're like. Basically what I'm trying to say is swap targets often, because sitting on the one, usually people are running with 3 healers, and like you're not going to be able to blow them down if they're playing correctly.
I like trying to the healers and then just let them stay and
you
just
that's the best
front line. Yeah.
Yep. Them and then kill DPS and then just like slow them so they can't res with full mana. All right, where did Mel go? Because we are about to end out. All right, well, we'll just do it without her. She never has a place to find her. There she is. All right, guys. This has been a great show, but all good things must come to an end. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at WC Reloaded. You can follow the Mash Those Buttons Network at the Mash Network. If you want to send us an email, you can send it to wcrpodcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to join the Discord, it is warcraftreloaded.com/discord. How can you help the pod? You can leave comments on the YouTube that is growing, and like you guys are like basically 10-15% almost now of our total audience, so keep that growing, guys. Keep it growing, and leave us comments. You can leave us likes on Spotify. You can leave us reviews on iTunes. I don't know what Google Play does, but hey, find something. You can support us on Patreon. Just go to warcraftreloaded.com. All of the links are there. And remember, we are changing the YouTube channel March 1st to youtube.com/@warcraftreloaded. Please give us a follow there. I'm extremely worried that all of our YouTube growth is just going to go to the gutter as soon as we switch that, but we have to switch it. So please give that a follow. And yeah, that's going to be it. Mel, where can we find you?
You can find me in game on Melarina and in the Discord if you ping me. And that's about it.
All right. And Go, where can we find you with the haircut? Keeps throwing me off, man. Like your hair was way longer than Shobek's before, and now it's just like you look like me.
As long as Mel's, yeah. It was down there. That's the longest it's ever been. But yeah, you can find me at youtube.com/@ClassicGho. It's classic GHO.
Awesome.
A little H thrown in there. I know it's hard to figure out where in Go it's placed, but it's right in the middle.
Awesome.
Your Balance Druid information that you need. I'll tell you exactly how to kill a rogue. So step 1, you star search. No.
Step 2, you star surge. Step 3, you star surge.
Fairy Fire is so fun, and then I see him pop a vanish, and it just does nothing.
In-depth guides, guys. Yeah. Don't even worry about it.
It's a 3-second video. No filler.
No fluff.
And Shobek, thank you so much for coming on. Where can everybody find you? And give us, after you do that, please give us a sign-off ending in Bunkai.
Yeah, I got you. Thank you guys again for inviting me. I think we talked about a lot of cool stuff, and it felt good to kind of talk about a lot of these things, because we haven't really talked about it on my stream either. And you can find my stream on Twitch. It's just Shobek, and then YouTube it's just Shobek. And if you want to send me a message on Discord, it's just Shobek. So pretty easy to find me. And again, thank you guys so much for the invite. I really do love doing these podcasts. You guys are the second podcast ever that I've been on. So
yeah, you were on Josh's Countdown to Classic.
Yeah, Countdown the Classic.
Yeah,
the first one that time. It was really cool.
That's how I found you the first time. He is great. He's been on the pod too here.
Yeah, it was a really, really fun talk. And with that, Bunkai.
Okay.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right, guys, and that's SHOBEK. Make sure to give him some love. You can find me on Twitter at Blazin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. And you can find me on Twitch and this show live, twitch.tv/BlazinBob. Let's get out of here.
Bunkai.
Can't do it, babe.
Is that Japanese for something? Does it stand for something?
Yeah, it means final release. So it's from an anime called Bleach, and there's like a sword in the anime. It's called a Zenpakuto, and it has like a soul to it. And when the wielder and the sword like kind of come together in that bond, it is like that like Super Saiyan thing. So instead of hair growing yellow, they say Bunkai, and their sword turns into something, or usually them turns into something. Yeah, sick.
I feel like I'm going to have some new ways to say bunkai soon here.
Yeah.
Now that you just told me that. All right, guys. Until next week, see you later.
Later.
Thank you very much for checking out Warcraft Reloaded Podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss any future content.